S&P 500 poised to open lower this morning. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Right now, also poised to open a little bit lower as we get an increase here in USO amidst some renewed tensions in the Middle East, as we talked about a lot yesterday as well. Now, one thing I want to mention too, tons of news and stories on watch today, but we also have a lot of key economic data coming out bright and early at 8:30 a.m. So you're going to get PCE and core PCE month over month and year over year. As we discussed yesterday, we're expecting roughly flat to slightly cooler month over month PCE data, but both the core and non-core year over year prints actually expected to be a little bit hotter. We'll also get that GDP growth rate quarter over quarter second estimate. That'll also be coming out here at 8:30 a.m. 2 p.m. we're going to get a White House press conference led by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. So expect whatever we get, especially from GDP, to be addressed in one way or another at that press briefing. Further, tons of earnings to talk about today, guys, just moving beyond the macroeconomic and oil-related headlines. Here is the chart of Snowflake. SNOW, this is up more than well over 35%, still at these pre-market highs as traders digest its earnings report. Lots of other earnings names here too. Tons of retail and Chinese ADR names in the morning, but last night you also had big tech heavy hitters like Marvell, relatively flat right now compared to where it closed yesterday, and CRM Salesforce. Pretty choppy. Tons to discuss today. Again, guys, those PCE and GDP data will be there right for you guys at 8:30 with those numbers, but very, very busy morning, Sharif.
Absolutely, Adara. You put it spot on there. A lot of earnings names to talk about, guys. Some red, some green. Let's look here at Dollar Tree, well over 10%, and a retail name as well. Best Buy up 8 1/3. Kohl's breaking that 10% mark, and Nebius, not an earnings name, but an interesting look nonetheless. An OpenAI investor or insider taking a position in that, and it's up over 10%. Dell as well. Has anybody looked at the chart on Dell since, say, early to mid-March? I was talking to Joseph off camera. We were trading at $130, give or take, $140 now at $200 to that, but $330. So a lot of interesting names this morning, as well as some earnings names that we talked about.
It should certainly be an exciting earnings night tonight as well, so certainly stick with us there. In the meantime, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at AMAS, AMSS, AMAS Brands Group. They are trading on the NASDAQ under that aforementioned ticker, AMSS, and they're a beverage platform focused on fast-growing categories, including non-alcoholic, functional, and premium alcohol beverages. Its portfolio includes brands like Good Twin, non-alcoholic wine, Summer Water Rosé, and Calarosa Tequila. The company recently announced that Good Twin is now the #1 organic non-alcoholic wine brand in the U.S., with sales growing more than 122% year over year. With distribution in over 40,000 retail locations nationwide, AMAS continues to position itself around major consumer trends focused on moderation, wellness, and premiumization. So speaking of premiumization, you're going to get a premium experience if you stick here right with us for all of the trading information you need. In the meantime, we're going to take a moment to turn it over to our friends Sean and Neil for the first time today. Good morning, boys. How are you doing?
We're good. I mean, everything. Even if you were down, you're now up on the earnings name.
Yeah, Marvell finally going up.
CRM got green too.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yes. Well, okay. I haven't checked in 15 minutes. Okay. CRM had gotten green. Well, it depends on which tick. If someone just hits the offer, it's green. If somebody hits the bid, CRM is red right now. But it did recover a little bit, and that's going to be a good sign because we've been in this environment where like earnings, hey, doesn't matter, and then you're selling off a little bit. So CRM, Marvell, obviously neither of those two suckers is going to be what Snowflake is pulling off, 39% to the upside. Don't sleep on Dollar Tree, BBY as well. It's just a heck of a Dell with positive news. It won't be up that much today, but then remember Meta had the big news in the afternoon as well. So there's a lot that looks bullish despite the fact that the market's down. What is definitely bearish is crypto. That stays the same. It just only looks a little bit worse coming into the morning. So if there's a drag, IBIT's down 2%. You're at 73. We lost to 75,000 on Bitcoin. But more or less, everything else is looking pretty good. I think it's what you want to see out of Marvell. Like you did the gap down. If this can hold, even like VWAP prior lows, I think that's a fantastic sign because the fear would be the things that were priced to perfection and had made the big rallies. We're going to have these pullback days. If that was the worst that we got, hey, that'll work.
Yeah, Marvell is going back to zeros here, which is nice, up 1%. I got out a little bit there in the after hours. Actually got hit at 218, but only 20%. So I still think I can get back up there, man. I don't want to sell a good name down. Guide was fine. Everything was basically in line. Guide a little bit higher, which is nice to see. And I think they just cemented their picks and shovels argument here for the data centers and the build out. So the numbers are there for Marvell, and it's obviously we look at where stocks come from, and Shreve just made a good example there about Dell. It's where you think they're going, and if we think that this AI game is still here, Marvell goes higher from this point. I mean, their numbers showed everything that we wanted them to show, and it just hopefully gets rewarded, right? Like I said, NVIDIA had that monster quarter and got hit, down 10% NVIDIA, right? It's nice to see Snowflake finally getting green on the year. So congratulations to anybody that was able to buy the dip. It's been a dog all year. You were at 225, I believe, January 1st or so. Yeah, right around here, and it's been a nice move down, that's for sure. This is going to be one of those stories again where you're going to say, wow, Snow was at 120. Now it's at 240. So it's a double up since April, but just getting back to Greensville now on the year. So that's going to be great for Snowflake, and the data center build-outs continue to have to manage data. And there we go, Snowflake, part of that software story. Palantir just, we looked at CRM earlier, Palantir upside there as some of these stocks get going. AVAV, some of the drone stocks get some bump ups from the government today as well. So that's up to 197 right now. I really like this name, probably going to start to chip away and buy some of this name. But yeah, that's it. And then Best Buy is a good story too, right? I mean, Best Buy is BBY, is it? Yeah, okay, Best Buy, okay. You think about BlackBerry now, BB, we've been looking at that for a while too. Yeah, up 9%. I mean, look at Best Buy. We talked about what the retail game has been like. Well, how about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nowadays upside for Best Buy. This one won't get back to, might get back to green on the year at some point. Pay a little bit of a dividend as well. So that's nice for Best Buy. We'll see what's going on.
Kohl's double digits too.
Oh, Kohl's is up. So yeah, well, that's probably so many short stories.
Yeah, it's got a decent short flow here for Kohl's, up 12%. And a lot of retail has been heavily shorted, but if you're gonna have a good guide, and if you get good earnings and a solid guide, then this is what's gonna be able to happen.
There you go.
And apparently breakfast is here.
Yes.
Samosas.
And
just samosas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, eggs. Samosas.
Yeah. I saw yesterday it was going to be scrambled
one.
Eggs. Sometimes they give.
For tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a green one there. Thanks, Randy, for everything
bro.
there. Did you grab the eggs yet? Oh, yeah. And they're decent? Samosas are better than the eggs. Samosa for breakfast. You can bring us.
I'm not saying no to a samosa.
Bring us a samosa. Why not?
Better than the eggs.
Show everybody
what's
going
it'll be scrambled
on over there.
eggs.
Greetings from Germany. Greetings from Canada. Over on this side right now, it's the weather's getting good around here, man. It's nothing better than getting to see friends, having opportunities to be outside as much as possible.
Yes.
As summer times are now kicking. Yeah, Bitcoin 73.5. Yeah, that's pretty low there. I might have to flip over and start thinking about a short now in this game here that we call crypto. $42. That's where your 200 period moving average is. Yeah, when I log in, my process is to try to find names that we trade quite often that are maybe moving a little differently than the market. So crypto downside, we'll have to find out the reasons. We'll talk about it. There'll be stories regarding crypto today. There's, the Clarity Act. How quick was that?
What the heck? That was fast, Randy.
Multiple samosas? All right. Thank you, Randy. All right.
It'll work.
They're probably veggie samosas or something. What's up, Terrible Trades? Yeah, there'll be a sticky note out at some point here. Yeah, and then, that can't be, and I don't know what's going on. I just wanted to look at Robinhood. I want to see a decoupling from Bitcoin, right? Like, I don't want to see Robinhood. I'm not in Robinhood, but I don't want to see it going down as crypto goes down. I mean, they're their own business here. Let's see if Robinhood can withstand this kind of a move over the next couple of days here, because crypto, we just saw it at 80,000, now it's at 73, so it's down 10%, which isn't that hard, right? I mean, when you're talking about stocks down 10% or up 10%, those things can happen all the time. Bitcoin's now down 10% in 2 weeks. It's not like it's the end of the world right there. Meta, obviously a little disappointing. I mean, I thought it would be a little higher than where we are today, but the fact that the NASDAQ's down, I believe, right? The ES is down, NASDAQ's, flat, down in the third. I still really you know, you talk about a sticky note. This could be a break right there, 638. Probably is not going to be there by the time the market opens up. Probably a little bit higher than where we are now. But that's going to be a good trade for Meta. And I don't think the amount of market cap that added there yesterday was quite nice. Almost $500 billion, maybe more than that, on a market cap just for what they announced. I don't think they're ever going to get that revenue back anytime soon from that subscription model, but that's not the point. The point is that, you know, now they're finally starting to monetize all that CapEx spend. Let's see if that can turn into something. They have the Meta glasses. My kids are always talking about them. All the kids at baseball like the Meta glasses. So hopefully that can start to pick up a little bit with that Oakley deal and things like that. So Meta does have a runway here, and here it goes. It's going to turn right now. So we'll see. It's starting to break out. I just said 638 is not going to be there. And there it goes, upside through 638. I should have talked negatively about it. But here it's going now. I like the stock. We'll see. Okay. I like the stock. We'll see what winds up happening to it. If we can get a dip buy, that would be great. But there it goes. Meta taking that level out, and there goes $1. There goes $1.50. Again, you know what? No, maybe everybody does not like the Meta glasses, and we really don't like Meta, and I think this is going to be a very bad thing. Maybe it will come down now, but there it goes. Upside.
And they're open to cloud as well. That's another big thing. What it is a value. It's a potential reset. You got to take the sum of all the parts in here. It's not just that you're going to monetize with. I mean, okay, fine. You're going to get excited about Instagram. Fair enough. But their AI models as well. Like, I think that's going to be a big deal for that subscription. And then the exciting thing to me about the glasses I don't really care if they're any good or not. But the amount of data that is going to be importantly collected from wearable devices is going to be huge, and the next wave of models are going to get trained on that. And I think they're in a position, and probably Apple as well, going to be in a really good position to collect that type of data. Right? Like Apple's already doing with the earbuds, but I think the wearable glasses are going to be a big deal for that. So it's like a twofold win for them there. So yeah, definitely like them. On the crypto space, just to go back before we throw back up to the desk. There's nothing, I'm not really seeing anything about Bitcoin. I still haven't seen anything about Bitcoin that since it broke the trend line has suggested that it's looked overtly bullish, right? Had a consolidation, breakdown. We've had this consolidation, tried to break higher, couldn't take out 85 or so, 85K. And now we're looking to get, and then we've lost some key support. Like that 75 was a good inflection area. Like support to resistance, and then was trying to support it on the way back in. If we don't recover that pretty soon, like if we come back a week later and we haven't recovered 75, then you're right back on track to head lower. So this is a pretty key next week, I think, for Bitcoin. If it can't hold here, everything about it still looks pretty bearish on that higher time frame. So you look at things like Circle, and they could be under pressure. It's down a couple points today. Circle could lose. It actually tagged $100.10 this morning. So the $100 level is a potential breakdown on Circle. It's under the 200-period moving average as well. So I'm bearish yesterday on crypto. I'm going to stay that way. But there's plenty of other things you can be bullish about, right? Like you don't want to carp too much on these bad boys because there's a lot that's looking very strong. The thing about Snowflake, though, this is a tough one. 38% feels like too much. Like the thing that looks the strongest feels like the one that I would not want to be buying up here. Like this one I feel like is a pullback trade today. Just not very often you see that sizable a gap that chews through so much and no one would want to ring the register. I mean, it's exactly a double up from the April lows, 120 to 240. Absolutely impressive, and takes the cake from all of the small cappers that you think would be running today, which I haven't seen too many of. To be honest with you. So not sure what you're going to be into this morning, Sharif, but the big-time gappers are all earnings names today, which is a heck of a lot of fun because it certainly means that the stocks that you're expecting to move are moving.
You ask, can you get, Neil? We're already looking at NCT here up 150%. Had a lot of trouble with 8 and 7.5, but you can see it's kind of dancing below 6.5, barely above the volume-weighted average price, but you got to put respect on the name. Of a stock that's up 150% here to start the morning. I'm also looking at ATPC, but this was an afternoon breakout yesterday. Kind of trying to hold the levels this morning, very consolidative. up a respectable about 117.5% Adara. So if these ones are trading above the volume weighted average price on the midday, we'll be looking at them.
Certainly on watch. In terms of other names gapping up too, we know, Neil, that we have had these drone plays also on watch. UMAC is one of them. We'll talk about that on the runway. But in the meantime, I do want to get here into some of these stories on watch today to talk about. We already mentioned USO, but I think oil certainly is going to be on focus, back in focus here throughout the day. We know yesterday lots of kind of pops and drops on stories that were then called out to be fake. But I think certainly keeping an eye here on USO and the geopolitical aspect still very hot today.
Yeah, it is. It's headline driven, so we'll keep an eye out on that. We'll keep an eye on Twitter, see exactly what comes out midday. It'll be moved by that. Hopefully a deal comes sooner rather than later. Overnight, looks like they both hit each other, just both claiming that it was defensive in nature. Nothing really to report.
Well, I do want to report here, though, and we mentioned this a couple times, but Dell does have a Pentagon-related headline here, so I think certainly at least tangentially related to the war through this Microsoft-related contract here, $9.7 billion for Dell Federal.
Yeah, fantastic look for them. Dell Federal Systems, that's a division within Dell that's receiving the money. It's slated to save the government about $422 million annually, if you believe the reports. It's going to run for about 5 years. And it basically, it's Dell consolidating the fragmented software and the cloud footprints for Microsoft across many different arms of the U.S. government. We're talking the military intelligence agencies, as well as the Coast Guard. So something to look out there. But look, this is sort of a glorified middleman perspective. The money is still going to go to Microsoft because they're going to get all the money for the licensing. It's just Dell's job to make sure that everything is consolidated. But let's put this in perspective as well. The multi-billion-dollar award follows a heavy public endorsement by President Trump, who publicly urged citizens basically, quote, go out and buy a Dell. And just basically a few months later, Michael Dell and his wife, Susan, made a highly publicized $6.25 billion donation to Trump-backed charity investment fund. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So we'll have to see how this all works out. But the chart on Dell, absolutely fantastic.
And of course, we know they have earnings tonight. That Dell-Trump relationship, certainly interesting here, guys. How do you feel about DELL today?
I think you just got to hold on to this one. You ride the wave with the government as long as this one is going to last. It's pretty low volume, and Dell's never really going to be like the highest volume name out there for a big cap stock for day traders. And I wouldn't be terribly surprised if it had I wouldn't be surprised if it had a somewhat inside kind of day. It's strong relative to the market. It's more of a good, not great catalyst, but it's been consolidating for the last couple of sessions. I suppose it's due to move. I'd want to see how does it respond? Because the market's still slightly down, right? So how does it respond if you pull back into this forget about the prior close, just look at these prior highs. It's a 2-day consolidation level. It gets into that chop, you want it to bounce off. I think get a little bit more excited up there. But I look at this and it's like, are we seeing any value in Dell? Yeah, absolutely. We hold the trend as your friend till the end when it bends. But as Sharif said, you're kind of sleeping on the other half of this, that this is still, somewhat still positive for Softy. And Microsoft is now the last little engine that couldn't. Meta's having its moment, and Microsoft is now the last consolidator that needs to break. So I wouldn't mind seeing this go on longer and longer and longer, because the longer this consolidation is, I think the better it is when it breaks higher. You talk about things that coil up, no chance that it has a snow-like moment, but when you get that relief rally or the catch-up rally and the market has gone so far and everyone has run so far away and forgotten so much about a name, it can make the breakouts all the more explosive. I guess we'll have to wait for another catalyst here, but I just feel when this gets above 430 and can close above $430, within a day you're going to be at the 200-period moving average. Within a week you'll be at $500. Like that kind of a thing is looming for Microsoft, but they'll have to wait. They're on the sidelines for today while Dell takes the lead.
Yeah, I have Dell on this, today as a buy. I'm going to be buying this thing around 313 if we can come back in to that area. It's going to be your 200-period moving average. It's where we sort of got to yesterday. So I'm going to be a buyer of Dell over here. all this talk about like, wow, Snowflake is, how come, NVIDIA can't perform like Snowflake? How come Marvell can't perform like Snowflake? It's because Snowflake's been dog, what this year. And that's part of why they get this move, right? Why doesn't Marvell go up 38% on earnings? It's because Marvell went up 38% last month. So it's like you got to, play this for what it is. This is just now getting back, so it's like a proof of concept. Like, obviously, if we say, oh my God, they were 120, now it's 240, that's just cherry picking. You can go over and pick a lot of stocks down here at the April lows that have doubled, tripled, if not more than that. So I really love this stock. I mean, for people that are in it, if you're buying it down here, that's great. And I think it just goes to that story of looking for depressed names that could potentially beat moving forward, right? So this is just getting back, this is just getting back to where we are. If I told you that your tech stock was up 5% on the year, would you be happy with that? Maybe if your name was Microsoft or something, you would be. But if your name was anything else, you probably wouldn't be. So it's nice to see where we are now for Snowflake. And I hope, and I think there's potential now to get back to 280. But just to answer the questions about why is it up so much and the other names really don't get to go on earnings. And, someone used the example of NVIDIA in the chat. And it's just because of where Snowflake's coming from. It was really beat up and people just didn't believe in it. We talked about the software names and they came out and shut everybody up. So that's, congratulations to Snowflake and people that believed in that. We got a super chat yesterday of some due diligence being done on UiPath. And, that's kind of the same story. If this name jumps up 50% on earnings, then you're getting back to sort of where we were at the beginning of the year again. So you've had to go through this all, and they have to prove that they can, beat and or guide higher, and then the stock will go to where it needs to go. Until then, it remains sort of down in these levels, right? And so that's the story with all these sort of high beta names, is that they won't necessarily act properly until they show you, what's under the hood. And it's not like a story like Apple where there's literally 7,000, brokerages covering this name, and everybody knows they can guess within, a couple thousand units how many iPhones in the hundreds of millions are going to be sold. There's so much expectation for Apple. It's so well covered that they can nail it. When you get a stock like a Snowflake or a UiPath or something else that has been beat up, even a Salesforce to some extent. I mean, Salesforce has a lot more coverage than those other names, but if they can actually prove it, where they're coming from, they had an opportunity, and they didn't take advantage of it because the earnings aren't there, but they had an opportunity to have, a 20 or 30% move today as well to get back to where we were at the beginning of the year. So that's 266. So, what are we going to do? We're going to look back and say, wow, it's 175, now it's at 260. Well, you need to show up. And CRM didn't really do that. An example with Marvell is sort of the other way around, as we just mentioned. This is what Marvell's been doing all year. So if you're talking about, thanks to Ramin, she put out a thing yesterday where this was my pick of the year, and Marvell goes from 85 to 210. So it's not going to jump up 38% now. It's already done this kind of a move. So you're just hoping that it can prove, that it has a viable business. Obviously, Marvell is doing that. And the fact that it's not getting clobbered right now, to me, probably signals it might be time to buy a little bit more. On my drive home yesterday, I don't show it up here. It got to 218. I think it got to 220 and change yesterday. I put an offer at 218, which was its all-time high. We got filled in the after hours yesterday on Marvell. We want to put that money back to work and was hoping to do it somewhere in the 180s or something like that, but I don't think we're going to get down there. I really like Marvell moving forward, of course, after that. And so far, I have iBit and Dell on the note here, so we're going to look to get some more names going. And maybe Joe can lead us with some ideas. Let's go see what he's talking about.
I'll do my best, guys. All right, guys, good morning and welcome to our daily option segment. Let's get involved with some of the activity from yesterday's session. We're going to kick things off with Snowflake up substantially this morning here, guys. And we're already north of this specific strike price, but there's something that I want us to note. The volume in the open interest, extremely light. So this isn't one of the names that are overly optionable, all right? So you might run into some liquidity issues even though we have a tight spread, but the volume at this $240 level Only 135 contracts traded on yesterday's session. And then as for the open interest, guys, you can see we're sitting at around 1,200. That's not a lot compared to some of the other names that we quite often talk about. Now, bid in the ask, as I was just mentioning, sitting on a $2 spread, but be prepared for these contracts to change drastically after the open. When Neil and Sean come on, we're gonna do a little bit of a comparison. I'll send it over to them and I'm like, hey, we were talking about this at a $48 contract if you're purchasing this on the ask before the close, and then we're gonna see what that changes. So I'll be sure to keep up with that and send it over to you guys. Now, as for our delta metric, expect that to change as well too, guys, after the open, as you are going to most likely be in the money on this specific name. Even so, it was far away, 38% from this specific level. Now, as for our gamma exposure, cool, but then you're gonna see the increase. So you're gonna see our Greek metrics just have a crazy fluctuation and a drastic change as soon as that 9:30 bell rings. Now, as for our at the money IV here, guys, 241%, that's quite a bit. All right, so you can see that implied volatility is being priced in. And then we head over to the actual contract itself and you say, Joe, like, what is even going on here? This is nothing. A couple bars, low liquidity, exactly. But expect that to change after the open, guys, as you are up, as we mentioned multiple times, you're up 38%. Moving forward, we're gonna be looking at Salesforce, guys. Salesforce reporting after the bell as well. And a little bit more activity here on this name specifically, but what are we looking at? We're trading around $177 right now. So did we potentially find a floor here in Salesforce? Well, our open interest and our volume may indicate that potentially, all right? So open interest sitting around 2,400 and the volume with 4,700 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session. Look for this 170 marker to hold when this is going to be expiring tomorrow after the bell. And you can see we're sitting on a $15 spread. That's not too bad, guys. Now, as for our delta, you can see we're sitting on that $31 metric, and then our gamma exposure, only $1.80, all right? Not too bad whatsoever, but earnings season, you have that fluctuation, you have the implied volatility, you have those expected moves priced in, sitting at 149%. Let's head over to the contract itself. Now, if you happen to be the individual who's buying this put contract at the open or before the close on the previous session, well, congratulations. We don't talk about this quite often, but you get a 70% return in that specific name on Salesforce. A 70% return in Salesforce, the actual underlying stock, would be beautiful, all right? Moving forward, you know who's on the list now, Sean. We're looking at Marvell, $175. What's going on here? Not saying that we're gonna fall down into those levels, but we've been on a pretty big run. All right, so if we do happen to continue to slide a little bit, where could we find a potential floor? Not gonna say it's gonna happen immediately, and we most definitely wanna see what's gonna happen with the open interest and if it's gonna be rolled over into the following week's expiration cycle and so on. All right, so $175, we're gonna be keeping an eye on that one, expiring tomorrow after the bell. Open interest sitting just under 5,000 contracts. That's going to be the most that I've seen on this week's expiration cycle on the put side. Keep an eye out for that. Now, as for your volume, guys, 4,770 contracts opened and closed, and you guessed it. Our delta metric, relatively cool. Why? Because we are out of the money, only sitting on $17, but we have no liquidity issues here, guys. We're sitting on a $5 spread here, which isn't bad whatsoever. Your gamma exposure, almost none, but if this does start to get a little bit closer to at the money, which will be a little bit difficult right now, you'll see an uptick in that. Not necessarily going to be the case for this week. Once again, we keep an eye on it for next week to see if some of that size is rolled over. Now, as for the at the money IV sitting at that 218%, that's quite a bit there, guys. Expect that to cool down. We had a pretty wide range on yesterday's session, sold off, but as the days pass, you will see, as long as we don't continue to move to the south side, you'll see that at the money IV really start to decay and compress. Let's send it back to Neil and Sean.
We're actually going to send it over to us here because we do have numbers in less than 1 minute, and some big numbers they are, guys. In 30 seconds, we're going to get PCE and PCE and core PCE year over year and month over month. Month over month here, non-core PCE, we are expecting 0.5% versus 0.7%. Prior PCE year over year 3.8% versus 3.5% previous. Core PCE year over year 3.3 versus 3.2% prior. Core PCE month over month 0.3% versus 0.3% prior. GDP quarter over quarter 2% is the forecast here, guys. All these numbers coming out now. I'm seeing your durable goods orders right away just standing out here month over month for April, guys, 7.9%. I was seeing estimates here of 4%. This could be well above estimates. All these numbers starting to populate. We also got initial jobless claims higher than expected. We know layoffs have been on watch as of late. 215,000 versus 210,500 expected. We get PCE month over month here, a little bit cooler than expected, 0.4% versus 0.5% forecast and 0.7% prior. Year over year PCE, 3.8% in line with estimates, but that number is going to be hotter than the prior print. If you move on to core PCE, you're seeing the exact same thing here. Month over month print slightly cooler, 0.2% versus 0.3% expected, and core print exactly in line with estimates, but hotter than the prior month. GDP quarter over quarter here coming in 1.6% versus 2% expected. So market moving a little bit higher here. Again, guys, kind of mixed PCE data, slightly lower than expected GDP, and jobless claims higher than expected. Lots of data to digest here, Sharif.
Yeah, interesting. Look, the two parts of the Fed's mandate there. Interesting, you get a little bit higher jobs claims. I was seeing 213,000 as the estimate. But yeah, potato. Also, you get a little bit of a lighter inflationary print. We'll have to dig deeper into those numbers, see where there was softness and where there was strength in inflation. But yeah, as you said, Adara, mixed report.
I think that very likely we're going to get some mention here of this weaker than expected GDP. Unlikely Scott Bessent himself will bring it up at that press briefing today, but I'm sure someone will be asking the Treasury Secretary some questions about this number. We'll go back to the guys here with lots of interesting economic data.
Yeah, interesting to see the market like that with GDP down, slightly hot when it comes to inflation. It's not like, look, we didn't get a huge bounce. It's a blink on the 15-minute, and it's like a small candle here on the Qs when you come out to a 3-minute chart. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it was anything too big. If anything, I would have thought this would be, you wouldn't like that GDP contraction with even any kind of hot numbers. Like that's what you don't want. What you don't want to see. Well, what we don't want to see is contraction in GDP and still hot inflation. Your Kashkari saying that that's all they're concerned about. It's still all about inflation. Labor market's doing fine. Let's not worry about that for a while. We've been sitting over 2% for too long, and that's why at the end of the year, right now they're pricing in rate hikes, and no one's really talking about cuts anymore. So I don't know that this number changes any of that, but the ball's not lying here. The market's trying to go up. I wouldn't necessarily overreact to that based on the numbers we just saw. If it can hold green, that'd be a much better story. So a nice little small relief rally here. The Qs might not be what you would expect after those prints. They weren't groundbreaking, but I wouldn't have said they were overall positive for the market.
No, I'm just in the middle of writing down a short on this market here, but we're going to have to wait to see where this goes. I'm still watching Marvell, now up 2%. We definitely like the way Marvell is reacting right now to this print. And there we go, man. We said that Meta probably won't be hanging around 638 for too long. Meta, and there it goes now, breaking up into 642. Next time we'll talk a little, meaner about Meta, and maybe it will come back in to the downside. Still looking to maybe pick something up. We only had, and I know Mitch is here, but we only had a $28 winner or something yesterday when we were buying Meta. We were able to get Meta down here at 609 and then pumped it all the way up into 630 into the close yesterday. And an absolute banger there for Meta. We'll see if we can do it one more time here today, maybe buying a 635 area for META. All right, man, we've got Mitch, as you just heard. He's going to be here from Trade the Pool. Let's go back over to the desk and see what the guys are up to, and we'll talk to Mitch.
We're going to talk to Mitch in a second. First, though, I do want to mention, not too much action here in AMSS, but our friends over at Amass Brands Group do have a new announcement. They announced the launch of their Amass electrolyte mixers, which expands upon the company's fast-growing functional wellness beverage category entry. We know yesterday we spoke to the CEO, speaking a lot about these different beverage categories. So this new low-calorie electrolyte drink is going to be designed for hydration-focused consumers and can be enjoyed on their own or used as a mixer with alcoholic or non-alcoholic spirits. Management also saying here that the launch aligns with their growing consumer demand for wellness-focused and low-sugar, as well as functional beverage products. Global electrolyte drinks market is projected to exceed $80 billion by 2034. So good entry here. And yeah, thanks again to our friends at AMSS. Check out yesterday around 12:45 for that CEO interview. Now, we're very excited to welcome our friend Mitch Hoke from Trade the Pool onto the show. How are you doing this Thursday morning?
I'm doing great. Excited to be on the show and ready to talk about some stocks. There's lots going on right now. Of course, you're starting to already see the recovery there in Marvell as a lot of people got humbled yesterday by that Micron move, right? I think that's why we saw the down move, and we're looking to see this recover today. As you saw the analysts, they were trying to find the answer yesterday as they were going through that report, and there really isn't too much negative when you go digging deep. So I'm expecting a quick recovery here towards the bell.
I want to talk here about Micron because you mentioned it. I'm curious, did you trade any of that massive rally up or that short from yesterday that came in?
I did not trade that rally there, but hey, that's how it is. You know, you don't get them all, but I definitely was looking towards more of the industrials, was looking into the defensive area, and was also riding healthcare. Talked about healthcare names multiple times, looking to continue to ride those names. I have Gilead, Johnson & Johnson, and Lilly is doing really well. So starting to see the big drug manufacturers starting to really start to kick it.
Absolutely. I mean, Lilly certainly on watch lately near that 1100 level. Let's talk about Snow and Amazon here. I know you've been looking at these two, and of course, Snowflake massively rallying here on earnings. What's your thought on this space?
Yeah, I think what you really need to be watching here is now that what you're seeing in Snowflake, of course, that's a different move. That's the huge cybersecurity rally that I've been talking about. You saw it in starting up with Pinduoduo and CrowdStrike. Those are your leaders, right? Those are going to continue to push. You're looking for short-term moving average pullbacks on those. That's going to continue being the lead. What you want to be watching is what starts to actually get hot and starts to play catch up. That's why Snow is getting this rally, right? It's an industry-wide move. It's not just a stock-specific thesis here. So if you look around, you can look towards some other players, right? Now I'm looking at identity players like Okta and Frog, right? But there's other players in cybersecurity that you can look through and start to watch for some continued upside action. Of course, you want to stick with the leaders, but I think this is a trade that's here to stay, and you can see it in the action in Pinduoduo and in CrowdStrike.
So with that in mind, I mean, this ZS move yesterday certainly kind of outlier in terms of moving to the downside. Interesting look here within that sector as well. Yeah, did you?
Yeah, it just goes to show you, right? There's a hated one in this area, right? And so you want to be looking deeper inside of it, right? What's going on, right? Well, what matters here is there's an adjustment that's going on also for quantum, right? So all kind of cryptography, right, that has been established, right? Everyone's been worried about, well, what happens when quantum comes in? Well, that's what these cybersecurity companies are right now working with tons of companies to shore up. And then they're also shoring up all these AI attacks, right? So you want to be at the top of the moat, right? Of course, that's your Pinduoduo and CrowdStrike. I can't say it enough, but you can start looking to see other names come in here, or you could ride the ETFs like a hack, right? Or something like that. I think that's one of the best ETFs to continue to watch to see this start to get the lift there. So I like this even on the pullback, and the reason why it's getting you a nice pullback opportunity is because of Zscaler, but we can look for other plays to come in here and continue this riding higher.
I was going to say this hack daily chart is a great look, that's for sure. I know another sector you're looking at here is the staples. You've been talking about healthcare. What stands out for you within the staples sector right now? Any specific stocks you're looking at?
Of course, so we're talking healthcare, right? And the things that have been dragging healthcare were at first it was the healthcare plans, right? We were getting this into a big move. Of course, the GLPs were getting this huge rally, right? Then, of course, the healthcare plans kind of ruined the party in healthcare. But if you look at the equally weighted outlook for healthcare, you'll start to see bigger uplift that's really kicking off. So we're looking to see some bigger push here, really start to take off here. Sorry about the dogs barking here. Let me take care of that. I'm sorry, guys. I can hear him, and I'm taking over the show here, but just give me a second, guys. Do you guys hear the dog?
I don't think we can hear them. I've just heard we can't hear them, so I think we're good on our end.
The noise suppressant is just really great, guys. I think AI is that good. So I'll just keep going. But Gilead, of course, you can see Gilead starting to get through a trend line. That's one that I'm expecting to get back there towards like 150. Then you look at Lilly. Lilly just recovered that 1,000 mark, right? That's going to be another one that starts to push. So what had been dragging healthcare is starting to lift the healthcare plans. And now all we needed is the names that we're pushing in the first place. Names that went sideways. So you want to be looking at monthly charts, not necessarily dailies. And then when you look at the monthlies, you'll see a lot of pickups off of like 9 EMAs on the monthly outlook, right? That's not a daily outlook, but that shows you more and more it's holding the momentum, getting these dip buys. So a lot of undercuts and rallies on those monthlies, and that's what you want to be looking at. Look for those names to stay strong, right? And then we can start to look for other names in this space to start to push with it. The biotechs had held things up. Now I'm looking for healthcare to keep pushing.
Let's talk about some sectors and names you're not sure can keep pushing right now. Do you have some names that you're either trying to avoid or you have a short bias on, specifically airlines, and a name that we already mentioned earlier today in the memory space?
So, of course, in the memory space, I wouldn't be looking too much at shorts now because you're going to get this flip in Marvell, so you'll get this change in sentiment, at least on the day trade side, right? So just be careful on that side. Yesterday was yesterday. Today is not the same day. What I saw yesterday was a bunch of chest flaunting out on Twitter, right? Everyone like, hey, come into my chat room because I'm just that good. Well, that's called social sentiment. I could easily hear it all around, and that tells me more and more. Either you, on your side, you start to protect profits, or you start to look for some quick downfall. So that's what played in. Now, what I think if you're looking for downside action, the plays for down is energy. That's your oil plays, continuing to lose out after it had the crazy run this first, let's say, 5 months of the year, right? The XLE, of course, you can see it in the XLE. We were starting to get back up there with USO, but it was nowhere near through the highs like USO was. If you compare the XLE chart to USO, that was the telling sign, right? It never got back through that spike that you can clearly see on this chart here. So that was the tell that oil was starting to come. Now what is the next tell? You can do this pair, right? You can look for industrials higher and oil names lower, right? So wherever you want to look, right? However you want to pair that, I think this is a great trade to continue to ride. So the industrials are looking great. You can look into farm and heavy construction, trucking stocks, even railroads. Have you seen the run in UNP? I mean, I'm talking railroads here, guys, on a day trading show. You don't hear that type of mention, but this is the type of world that we're in right now. I'm looking for energy plays. I'm looking for plays that are part of the AI infrastructure, the physical trade to come right back into play, right? Automation and that kind of trade going on, right? So power trades. I rode the trade in CEG for a long time, and I'm looking to dip buy CEG again. I dip bought CEG, that's an independent power producer, below 280s, sold it into the 300 push. Now it's right back to the 9 EMA. It could push right back to the 300. Eventually, I'm looking for these names to continue driving higher. Independent power producers, energy plays, solar is going higher with this energy move, right? I don't know if you guys have seen that, but FSLR is one of the best names there to continue to watch for just epic breakout. I think you're going to see here in First Solar. You're seeing it expand away from the 9 EMA. Was starting to watch this because I started to see the flip on the whole solar sector as a whole for AI, and now it's really starting to take off. Another thing that brings this into light is the data center mentality for space and SpaceX. So then everyone starts thinking that solar is the solution here, right? So, hey, we'll see what happens here, but First Solar, NXT is another name I'll give you in this space. Started to have a good day yesterday. It's holding the 9 EMA today. If it could break above Wednesday's high, of course, of 138, you're looking clear for a nice breakout trade in solar with NXT.
Thank you so much for going over all of that. Lots of different sectors to watch here today, Mitch. Where can the people find you if they want to learn more about you or about Trade the Pool?
Yeah, like always, guys, I have so many trades, and that's why I send these guys a doc. I could go all day with trade ideas. That's what I do on a daily basis, right? That's what I try to give people. And what I focus on is always a top-down approach. I'm always looking at sectors and industries and then going to the stocks. Because if we can find the right industry that's hot, right, then you look into that industry and you see like 10 out of 12 names in the green. That's called the basket-wide approach. This is what diversifies you and gives you the ability to get after what theme-style approaches. But if you're looking for a really fun tournament, guys, we just are starting our best tournament yet. It's the Trading World Championships. You don't want to miss it, guys. It's going to be really fun and has all different types. We're even going to be doing World Cup predictions on there. Yes, you can be winning kind of accounts with us, right? Getting prizes just by predicting some World Cup matches. We will kick things off. We have a qualifier, eventually leading into a one-on-one competition. You guys could be coming after the man himself, the myth, the legend, Money Mitch. Come on out there, guys. You guys know I have a good time. You guys have seen me out there on the studio. Come over and get out there, guys. Sign up right now, guys. And the best part, it combines all our brands, the fibers, the futures, the stock trading, everything about it. Come check us out, guys. Trade the Pool, the Trading World Championship. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. Definitely check that out, guys. Thank you so much to Mitch Hoke at Trade the Pool for being here with us today.
Let's get after it, guys. Have a good one. Watch for that continued upside action. And then don't forget about good old lithium. I have MP watching for a good old lift.
All right, fantastic stuff by Mitch Hoke. I think I should compete in the Trading World Championship. All right, guys, there we go. Salesforce was. We're going to be looking at some of the downgrades, guys, and some analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with CRM. Once again, we've been talking about some options with this name. Now we're going to be looking at some reduction of price here, 252 to 236 by Barclays. You're still holding on to positivity this morning. And then we have Pinduoduo, as Adara would like to call it, pretty damn depressing. Here it is, you're down 2.17% here, going from an outperform to a neutral. Also reducing its price target from $151 to $87. Now, Winnebago also to the downside, guys, 2.2% here, going from a buy to a neutral with a $30 price target by Citigroup. Dollar General also to the downside, guys, a little bit less than 1%, going from a buy to a hold, reducing the target from $170 to $110 at Deutsche Bank. Moving forward, we'll take a look at some more positive things, and we're going to kick it off with Snowflake, as Mitch and the desk have been talking about throughout the morning session. 38% to the top side. We're holding that overweight rating, but we're going to increase our price target from $245 to $300 at Morgan Stanley. We also have Marvell getting the nod, guys. Slightly negative, a little bit less than 0.4%. Target going from 149 to 235 at Jefferies. And then we have IREN, guys. IREN 2.5% to the downside, holding that neutral weight rating, but also getting a price target increase to $50 from $44. And then Dell Technologies, Sharif was talking about that this morning. 4 1/5% to the top side, guys. Outperform rating and increasing our price target from $300 to $350 at HSBC.
Lousy upgrade on IREN, man. They're at 66. We're talking about 44 for your price target.
Come on,
get
IREN.
up there next time.
IREN.
Got to get higher than that. But just back to one thing that Mitch said, and then we'll move forward because got IREN on the mind again today. I'm glad Mitch brought up the healthcare stocks, because when you talk about like opportunities, yeah, you can make an argument that Humana has made a huge run. Some of these healthcare stocks have been fantastic and like massive runners recently, almost doubling up. Look at this level at $320 on Humana. Dump zone in October of 2024 from 320, and it has just been cresting the same high over and over and over and over again. That's a potential, that's a big time breakout. Maybe it consolidates here, but that's a big time breakout level there for Humana. Now, the only reason I was harping on that IREN thing is, I'm pretty sure I saw a price target raised to $45 or something like that. Well, we're at 66. Yesterday was an all-day was most of the day rally. There was a couple double bottoms here, but where it bounced, right? Like you found like a key price level, which was a prior high the day before. I'm more looking at the open range resistance at that 63, because that was that big time rejection candle. I think this is the level that I want to pay attention to on IREN, and just understand that the dip buy in this stock has already shown you it can be a little bit violent. So a little bit more patience. If it wicks out, got to be willing to get back into it as well. But that 63 level on IREN, and I mean, the thing about these price targets is, like, I don't like that 40. They could have been at 20 before, so 45 would be pretty good for them. But yeah, as long as it's an upgrade, who cares? If it had been a downgrade, I don't think I would have cared that much either way. But yeah, like some continuation on IREN today.
Yeah, IREN, the one that I missed at 45 by almost $1, and sure just bought it, but whatever. We got CEG, so shout out to Mitch who likes CEG as well. Yeah, what's up to Aziz there in the chat? I mean, I was talking about Marvell under $200 right when the show opened at 8 o'clock, and was saying that despite their number, everyone was like, wow, Marvell's not going up. They met and beat expectations, they guided higher, and they are still the one. So Marvell up 5% and still going. Maybe now we can look at it if it fades back into the 200 level, which I said, very possible off open that something like this could happen. I sold a little bit yesterday at 218. I said it probably gets back there today. We're almost halfway back up to those levels. All-time highs of Marvell in that 220 area. Let's see if that winds up working. And then shout out to Mitch again, another name that I've been sort of talking about for a few weeks here, Johnson & Johnson. Them and Procter are two names that I think our portfolio adds at these levels. And let's see it mature back up. There will be a change of tide at some point where traders are looking for yield and solid businesses and not so worried about this AI race. But I don't think it's anywhere near over. But this could happen. People want to get back into some of these safety names as you get money out and you try to put it back in somewhere else. So just like we did there, selling a little bit yesterday, we'll get that money to work and buy one of these names. And there's Procter. We talked about it yesterday as well. So try and do some of that. And then getting into AVAV today as well. We'll be putting some of that in the swing account. So that's now up 10%. Yeah, man. If like we said at the beginning of the year, you look at a stock like Snowflake and all that stuff, these stocks have been disasters all year. And now, with a little bit of a get up here, maybe we can get back to that 200 period moving average. Obviously, it sucked to sit in these things, but there's lots of names that are like that you sit around and you wait for something to happen. And now
Why sit in it? I've said this from time, man.
No, but there's a lot of people that aren't as smart as you that get out.
I don't know. I've held some dumb stuff in my time.
Well, there you go. So you just said, why sit in it? There you go.
No, but you learn those lessons over time. Everybody is bag held stuff when you're younger. I just try not to do it. I did way more of that when I was young, and now it's just like, if it loses a major moving average and it's not like an Apple, it's not a Google, they don't make any. If I own a company that doesn't make money and it loses the 200 period moving average, I don't want to be. If they're making money in piles of cash and I think there's a value, okay, fine, you can withstand stuff like that. But if you don't make money and you break a trend and you lose the 200 period moving average, you lose the 50 period moving average, you want to get out. But yesterday, I don't care about the story, it didn't matter. It's great that it happened, but it gained the 50 period yesterday. So I was buying this anyways, I said yesterday, and then you get this headline. It's not the headline to me that matters here. It's just, it's breaking the downward trend. But remember that for anything that doesn't make money. Remember that for anything that is trading at a bajillion times sales and hasn't come close to making any money. Remember that for your quantum names. They can be fantastic. Like D-Wave, maybe this is gonna go to $1,000 someday. Maybe Rigetti is gonna be the greatest stock ever, but these guys aren't even rounding errors when it comes to what the revenues they're putting into even like a small cap company. Like they don't even have, some of them don't even have much of a proof of concept yet, but when the momentum is going for them, great. When you don't have to have the bottoms. You look at something like QBTS, look what happens when it broke down. You wait for it to get back above the 50. This is what I hope AVAV does. Loses momentum, gains a 50 period moving average, and then you've got more upward momentum. And sometimes just being patient is the name of the game. JKL, here we go. JKL, the tides have turned when we're not talking, so today we're not talking about MSTR short. Tech, trade back on, although with question marks. Long Nokia and the sunshine. Well, the sun will shine every single day somewhere. It's shining somewhere, and the day that it's not shining somewhere, we're going to be in trouble. I don't know if it's only going to be a one-day pullback in Nokia. That's what it's feeling like. The way that this market is trying to bounce here, we're back above the 30,000 with the NASDAQ. I felt most of these things would be, 2-3 days worth of pullback and then go back on trend. At least that's what we were saying yesterday. And I don't know that you've proven that for some of these stocks. You've got a pretty decent reversal day. This one would seem like around the $16 level would be key, right? Like support there and then opening range resistance. So if it doesn't get back above 16, you still kind of have that top in. Some stocks it's been 15 to 20% has been the standard pullback area, and most of them have been a couple of days when you make a bit of a top. It's really only been day one for Nokia. So even if it fell for 2 or 3 more days, it wouldn't be that bad. Oh, what do we got? But what is the actual time frame in the graph? If you see my charts, 3, 15, so like this is a 15-minute. This will be a daily chart. This is a 3. Unless I'll sometimes say I'm moving to another chart, and usually I'll do that on eSignal. But if I'm showing you my P Pro chart, it's a 3-minute, a 15-minute, or a daily chart, and that's it. Oh no.
I don't know. Has it been canceled? I don't know if that's true. NVIDIA over here, we can have a quick look at that name. I mean, 211, 210 was a good price yesterday, 209 or so for NVIDIA. Really, again, like the stock. And we talked about the kind of quarter that they had was the best of the bunch. And this is the reaction to it, right? So if you're trying to pick up something on value, it's kind of like what I was saying about AVAV, right? I mean, Neil gave the case back in January about liking the stock. It gets hit down 70, 50% or something like that. And then the good news, time to buy it. I think the same thing's true of NVIDIA. We like the stock, so it gets hit. Now it's, you got to think about what key levels. So, buying through that 50 period, I think is a great move on a stock like that AVAV. And I think on NVIDIA could be the same thing again. If we can get back in to $200, I think it might be worth something to buy down here if you're looking to put some money to work. I put some more money to work. I sold some ARM and AMD up at these highs, and I bought some more NVIDIA, just kind of like getting into like the sort of the AI ETF, kind of like NVIDIA there. If the whole space continues to grow, this name will. And it's not like NVIDIA's been a horse this year. I mean, it's 187, something like that, 190 at the beginning of the year, up to 211. Like you're not even really up that much this year on NVIDIA. So, we saw Amazon kind of barcode for a while so this would be a day chart. So you can always see up here. I know you can't, it's gonna be hard to see this, but on our charts, you can see it up here where it mentions it. Unfortunately, we can't make these any bigger for you guys to notice, but if you ever see Neil and I, it'll be the day and then the numerical unit. So if it says minute, that'll say 3 there, for example, or for me, a lot of 1-minute charts. But like, look at Amazon, right? Amazon was sort of doing the same thing. It wasn't really doing a whole heck of a lot. If anything, we got that huge dip where we started to buy a little bit more there at $200, but it wasn't really doing anything all year. And you can go back and say like, this is December of 24. December of 24, like that's a while ago. That was at 218, and then you go over to March of 26, and you're at 200. So, Amazon was a losing proposition for 18 months. You just sat in that thing and lost it. You didn't get a dividend, you didn't get anything, and then eventually breaks up, And so that's something that I think NVIDIA will eventually be doing there. What's up, Peter? You held on this from 9. And then you sold it at 11. Yeah, I mean, I think that those kind of things are what you want to do. And again, it depends on what your time frame is and what you're doing with money and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, how smart you are to get out at certain levels, things like that, right? And so there it is. This looks like it's going to break out as well. So what I like to do, and like I told you, we sold 20% of Marvell, we sold 20% of ARM, we sold 20% of AMD at these levels. And it's just a matter of waiting out for putting these 1-cent things up there, ASTC. Look, we have a lot to cover, guys. It's almost 9 o'clock. We will talk about ASTC there, but let's go back over the desk.
Before we do, I got to shout out.
Yeah, sure, let's go.
Trade options? No, trade options, obviously. There we go. 5 memberships gifted. I want to thank you.
Nice.
Appreciate it in the community. You'll get that Sharif note. 5 memberships thrown out there. I can already see who's got them. Peter, Vern, lastly Spencer, 29 Yay Rush got it as well. And we'll throw it back up to the desk. That AST, just very quickly on ASTC, these guys are the ones that had the headline with every single keyword for the algos to pick up. They were like, out of lunar and automation, and then they threw in like chip manufacturer. Like just like literally everything you wanted was in that headline. And then a small floater, 1.4 million float, getting a little bit of continuation today. Just be careful with these. They're probably really smart, and I'm sure if they're really smart, they're going to drop an offering at some point after all this. So yeah, good luck with this trade if you got ASTC.
All right, guys, 750.5 is where we closed out yesterday on the SPY. Literally the same level, plus or minus 10 pennies, 20 pennies from the day prior. So we're still using that 750 area, as we've been talking about, as a resistance level. Despite, getting above it, couldn't close above it. We're below it right now, but $1, 25.15 below that level, 748 and change. So we're going to say that same level of resistance on a closing basis, not intraday anyway, 750 as resistance. If we start selling off, we're looking at that same area of support yesterday, 745 Adara.
Make sure every single day, in addition to joining us here on YouTube, that you check out our Trader TV Live watch list. It is free. It can come right to your inbox. But how? Just subscribe. There should be a link in the description in this video. You can also check out that URL right there, and be sure to get these notes here on earnings, economic data, et cetera, et cetera. Do you want to mention here, before we get into the rundown, some comments coming from Scott Bessent on X about sanctioning Iran's Persian Gulf Strait Authority. Just be aware these conflicts do continue. But what also continues here so far pre-market is SNOW just continues to fly. This thing is hanging out near pre-market highs. Solid earnings report last night.
Yeah, and the lot of focus was obviously on that $6 billion 5-year agreement with AWS, but it's a lot more nuanced than that, guys. Look, they beat on revenue, 1.33 billion, well ahead of the 1.25 expected. But let's talk about the fact that they grew their margins by 300 basis points while only adding 17 employees. That's ridiculous from a fixed cost perspective. Anybody who's run a business knows that. That's fantastic right there. 17 net new employees wide during the quarter, but grew their margins by 300 basis points. Also, the headline here gets, the guidance bump, guiding 5.84 billion, basically, versus 5.66 previously for the full year revenue. What was really not talked about was the fact that their Codex, it's called Cortex Code. They're codenaming it Coco. It's essentially their vibe coding platform, has 7,100 users, customer accounts. It's a very high margin product. It's only been around for 1 quarter, and they're projecting full year revenue higher than expectations because of this new product. That's one thing to keep in mind. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Their dollar-based net revenue tension ticked up 126% up from 125. That's the first sequential increase in 5 quarters, so good look there. But a bit of a lower gross margin. Not by much. And the reason is because they're kind of shifting from just being a cloud provider into a neo cloud provider, and that has a lot of upfront costs. We're talking GPUs, we're talking server racks. God knows how much memory is costing these days. So a little bit of a hit in terms of margins, but fantastic top line number, Adara.
How are you feeling about SNOW here, guys?
It's feeling like a little bit too far too fast. For this one, I think there's going to be profit takers, which might have already started happening. But trade options again with a couple of tranches. So now up to 15 memberships sent out in 5. So I want to thank you for that. And I can see also with a super chat, MU on that sunrise, it's about to get very sunny. I hope it stays sunny. I just wonder whether or not Snowflake, and we'll get it. And when you see this one in Blue Ocean, it was a little bit wild in the overnight, just going back and forth off that 400 to the 240 level. But you know what? If you're constantly keeping up with the markets, like I know all of you are, if you're watching this show, Gemini Predictions is going to let you trade what you think is going to happen next. And if you think markets dump after some inflation data this morning, you can express that view instead of just watching it happen. The app is super easy to use. We're liking the automated oil markets with USO flying around so much, and with all of the all of the news every 5 minutes, it seems. So you can start trading pretty much right now, everybody. All you got to do is head to Gemini.com tradertv, or scan the QR code you see right out there in front of you. And probably not going to barcode today like a QR code is going to be Snow. But if you look at the aftermarket, 238 to 243. I can't remember the last time I saw this on an earnings name. And then the pre-market right now, basically the same 238 bottom and the same 243 top. Actually, I don't think in the time that we've had Blue Ocean, I don't think I've seen any double-digit gainer on earnings do exactly this, where the overnight levels are exactly the same as here. So I think that's going to set you up. If it's not breaking, I don't want to be taking this thing. And if it breaks down, trend short. I just feel like that's the way to go here with Snowflake. It's a great story, but 37% and this kind of a gap. Yeah, that's a pass.
Yeah, we talked about where Snowflake's come from. It's obviously a nice move there and being well rewarded today. I'm more interested in UiPath. That was a good call yesterday. Let's go find out. We said yesterday that there would be some big money made yesterday, and yeah, there's the top traders. You saw that move in Meta, and I said that potentially NASDAQ could be something spicy there from yesterday into today. There's $38,000, and sometimes we show these numbers, and this is the top 10 traders here at Real Trading, and sometimes it's like 5 to 10,000 as the top. But then when things are moving, you could definitely see what's happening right there. So there's NASDAQ, most likely on that Meta trade, or maybe even a Marvell short yesterday early, who knows. But there's $38,000 for a NASDAQ in New York trader. So that would be a trader that's put on New York and NASDAQ trades. We don't know which market it's coming from. It just means that they traded both those markets. Someone absolutely destroyed something in Hong Kong yesterday, man. I mean, I've never seen any numbers like this at all for the Hong Kong market. So, wow, 34,000, absolutely huge. Here's someone that traded Amex, NASDAQ, New York. So, that's very similar to something that, we'll trade around here. So that's a good one. And then there's Blue Ocean, as we just mentioned, 18,000. That's a couple days in a row now that this Blue Ocean has been more green than blue. And then Amex, NASDAQ, so nothing really going on down there. There's another Hong Kong trader as well. So what big numbers coming out of Asia yesterday for Real Trading, and Blue Ocean again, Amex. So yeah, just what's going on there from the top 10 traders at Real Trading. Yeah, I didn't go over the Snowflake numbers or anything like that. I just always look for the 200 period moving average, so 225 coming into play. That's a very, very long ways away. Now you are because it's been hanging up here. You're underneath VWAP, but I don't really play the gap into VWAP. But the problem with that is that if you're looking at a 1 minute chart, it's already all the way up here at 241 now. So we'd like to see it take that and then stay long. But I think if you're already long this name, you're probably fine. I would just stay in it. The implied move was like 14, 15%, something like that. So you're well outpacing it. Could see the options traders trying to bring this thing back in a little bit. But yeah, between 230 and 225, to me would look like a buy. I am much more interested, obviously, in the second name. And we talked about Marvell there last night. We talked about it all day yesterday. We lost money going long yesterday on Marvell as well during this move. So that was a bad, trade. But then it got going. And of course, we get stopped out near the lows. We'll see what winds up happening here today. Don't want to chase this too much, but if we do fall into the 200 or into VWAP, then maybe that's something to do. We're getting, a lot of super chats. I mean, we have one from Trade Options as well there. You did start the trend here, my guy. We can show my screen here, and then we can have that one that's up there. You're up thanks to Micron, so thank you so much. And yeah, Micron, we traded that yesterday. We'll look to do that again today, MU, and we want to say thank you, Trade Options there for sure, because if you're trading options and you're trading them on Micron, then it's been a pretty decent ride all the way to the upside. We were on this name yesterday, and during that move down, a nice huge move back upside. Will Micron get to $1,000? I don't know. That'll be tough to see if that happens. Not today. I mean, I don't think it might not happen for a little bit.
Today would be.
Let's see if there's a couple sideways days maybe now for the space. But congrats on that one, and thanks for the super chats.
It's getting cold. Timothy Doolittle, you have 2 contracts on Snow. Should I do market order at open, or should I do a limit instead if selling fast doesn't always sell for me? And tell me, so your question is whether you want to market or limit. it really just comes down to, like, the fundamental difference is, can you accept bad slippage, and can you accept slippage, and can you accept a price that you may not be a fan of if you're going to go the open on an earnings name? And if you're deep in the money, maybe that's a little bit easier. But you've just got to understand, like, at that particular moment, you can get some pretty nasty slippage if you don't do a limit order. But that comes at a cost. Everything is going to be a trade-off. You do a limit, you might not get the out. So if you're just looking to bank profits, you can lock it in. But understand you might give up some on that slippage, and that's part of the game. And no one's here to tell you what to do. I personally don't like market orders for that reason. But sometimes you just want to get the you-know-what out of Dodge. And that's fair too. But you have to assess your risk to reward. The good news is when typically you've got a win, it's a good problem to have. It's a great problem to have, actually.
We have CoreWeave not having any problems. I just put the news in the chat there. Launches unified agentic AI capabilities. Blah, blah, yada, 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 yada. There it goes, man, up another 4% there for CoreWeave. And another one of those names where you're at the 50-period moving average and, holding the 200, this looks like it has some upside to it. And like I said, I don't know anybody that's smart enough to know where any of these stocks are going. But if you do trade off of technicals, then you do have your ins and your outs. So right there, 99.50 is your 200-period moving average there for CoreWeave. So, all right, let's go back over and talk about Marvell.
Not so marvelous of a chart right now. I mean, we had lots of, pushing higher, pushing lower right after the report, right now trying to curl here. But MRVL, actual numbers here, not too bad, Sharif.
Not too bad at all, but my focus was on AWS. We spoke about this yesterday, the concentration risks that Marvell has, especially with Gravitron and Trainium and Amazon's custom silicon. Matt Murphy assuaged a lot of those fears yesterday on the earnings call. Good for him. And the reason is because now they're going to create custom silicon for 5 hyperscalers. We're talking Apple. We're talking Meta. We're talking Microsoft, Google, and of course, they were already tied the knot with Amazon. I love that. Good look there. $10 billion cumulative custom silicon pipeline for 2029, fully backed by the names of by the companies I just named. So that's a good look there. Let's talk about some spending that they had to actually engage in to be able to get to where they are. They had to throw $1 billion upfront cash prepayment to its foundry partners to lock in what we've been talking a lot about, packaging. That's when you take the processor, you connect it with the RAM, you put it on the wafer, or sorry, the circuit board, and then it becomes a viable chip. So that had to incur, or they had to incur, pardon me, another $1 billion there in order to get that. And last but not least, they made some acquisitions. We remember that they picked up Celestial AI. They also picked up XCon Technologies. Well, those acquisitions had an effect on margins, at least in the short term. They dropped from 58.9% down to 52.1%. Still pretty good for a physical product, Adara.
Yeah, in terms of the actual numbers here, narrow beats on EPS and revenue. Revenue here, $2.42 billion, adjusted earnings of 80 cents per share. And CEO Matt Murphy set to make a keynote speech at next week's Computex event in Taipei. Sean, I know you're a big Marvell fan. How'd you feel about this report and the reaction?
Look, I really appreciate that. We did actually get something out yesterday, and thank you to Ramin here, because this was a call that we had made. We're making picks for the half year. We talked about Marvell there on January 12th, and it was $80. So I want to thank Ramin for that. You guys can go, hey, Joe looking similarly to today. I like that look right there. We had our smart guy glasses on that day as well. But there's the Marvell call. And, we had made it, and we're pretty happy to have done so right there. And you can see by what we're talking about here, this is what we've been, this was the call on that day, up 139%. And we had said that we didn't necessarily want to worry too much. And by the way, shout out to Ramin right here, right now, up 33%. Joe, she's coming for us right now. That's Ramin upside there, 36. There's Obi at 11% as we watch out for Sidious and some of those trades that he has. And there's my guy Joe with JP Morgan and CrowdStrike and everything like that. Matteo, Neil, Fabian bringing up the rear there. So we'll have to wait to see if those names get kicked back up there. We still have Big Bear AI that needs to go. But the reason why I call that up is just like, it's kind of, and I really like what Sharif was talking about there. I really like Matt Murphy there, that CEO. He told us the goods back, a while ago. Marvell's been similar to Palantir for me, where we bought it, try to buy some of this name at the lows, hold out for it, believe in the stock. And I'm not going to make excuses for it, right? I mean, we could have got out when it faded back out there and broke certain levels, like we just mentioned there, like different stocks that we've talked about today, it breaks a certain level, you get out, right? We didn't do that on Marvell because it didn't really do too much at the 200 period. It kind of hung around there and gave you an opportunity to buy it. And so talk about the quarter then, yeah, solidified its role there. We just talked about new customers. Their guide was slightly higher. Their numbers were slightly better than the analysts. So I think Marvell continues to work, man. The guts behind everything that's operating, photonics over there, the copper wires, custom ASICs. I really like Marvell, and I think that, we traded yesterday, lost on it as it came back down in. But nice move higher here. I'm still looking for a 210 break long on this name. So if that happens, that'd be great. But let's try to be careful with it. It's tough to trade stocks on any given day. We talked about the failure rate, something like 98%. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is potentially here, wait for dips. So whenever there's that gap, we wait to VWAP, which would be around this $200 marker. So I'd say you want to wait for that. It may not happen today for Marvell, but we'll sit here and watch it. If it does base out a little bit like it's doing right here and gives us an opportunity to go long, then obviously we're going to do that. So yeah, really like Marvell. It's definitely one. Last year, we were in that same competition and we had Palantir and that was up huge, and Marvell's up huge again here this year. So I like both those names and I think they continue to work. So Marvell, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too late to buy it if you're not in it right now, but there goes Marvell. Nice to see, honestly.
You can give the 3-day rule if you want.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were talking about which kind of a dip was it going to be. Was it going to be like the NVIDIA dip where you get a week, or maybe you get 2 weeks, or is it going to end up being the SanDisk dip where you get the day, if not that? Well, I don't want to care about VWAP until the first 30 minutes are gone. It's a new thing for earnings names. I don't want to get wrapped up in the volume weighted average price until after the opening range. So I think 196, look at the low from yesterday. The low was pretty much at the last significant close price that mattered, which was this 196 area. And then we bounced there. So as long as it holds that level, you got to think pretty bullish. And it's right now could be breaking a trend at the open, which gets tricky if you're dip buying. So the 96 area seems like it's as good as any. And there's no other opportunity to talk about the chips, I suppose, because we have drones, NBIS, whatever. I'll just get this one out of the way. Intel might only be down 1.5%, but this looks like an obvious, like 117, kind of double barrel bottoms 2 days in a row. This is a consolidation level. You've already bounced off of it once. You look for a dip and rip off of it, but this is a both ways level today on Intel for me. If we lose 30,000 on the NASDAQ, things could get a little bit bearish, and that is a flat bottom break. So yes, do I want any reversion that bounces in front of it? Sure. But if we lose 117, that's going to be a short trade on Intel, at least for today. And hopefully the drone stocks continue to fly, because if drones don't fly, well, they've got a fundamental problem.
Yes, they have to do that.
Indeed, they do, Neil. I mean, these drone stocks certainly seem to have a fundamental positive catalyst right now, and watch specifically UMAC, one of them. Wall Street Journal reporting we could get some Trump administration funding for some of these names. Yeah,
they're looking at select U.S. Drone companies, a select group, some of them private, some of them public, basically to boost the supply of homegrown domestic drones. They don't want to buy these from other companies. UMAC, specifically Unusual Machines, has a tie to the Trump administration. Donald Trump Jr. sits as an advisory board member. He's also a shareholder of the company. But there are others involved. I mentioned some privately held names like Performance Drone Works, and then the Sequoia Capital-backed Narrows Technology. Also, you've got AVAV. There's a plethora of names to talk about. But Unusual Machines specifically already has a tie-up with the U.S. military. And I believe in October of last year, they won a U.S. Army contract to supply about 3,500 drones, give or take, and that actually could increase to 20,000 orders up to 20,000 components into 2026. So they've already got a tie-up there. Let's see how they trade.
Let's indeed see how they trade. I want to mention here SMCI name, I know a lot of people in our chat, like, they just put out an announcement, I guess, saying that they have collaborated with the Taiwanese authorities. We know there's been these investigations into potential NVIDIA chip smuggling or how NVIDIA chips got to China. SMCI also saying that their work with Taiwan resulted in 3 arrests. So they're basically saying, we're working with Taiwan, guys. We're doing our part. SMCI right now, a little bit of a spike, which is why I wanted to mention it. How do you guys feel about any of these names here?
Unusual Machines is the one that's going to give you probably the percentage-wise most bang for your buck. You're not going to tell you anything otherwise today. So I think if you're looking at the day trade, that's probably the place to go, and we'll get there in a second. But AVAV was already breaking the 50 period again. That happened yesterday's trade. It's broken the downtrend, and now you're above the 50. So it technically, like them, swing to the 250, to the 200 period moving average, 250 to 260. It's like the blackish line. I actually think it's like a dark blue, but it looks black on your chart. That'll be the 200 period moving average. I think that's a good target in the short term for this, but it'll be Unusual Machines today. That is the bigger move. It's going to do more volume. It's going to do better volume for trading. It's also breaking out above everything. You got to go back into like 23.5. If it wants to fill in the gap, then it's the 23.5 on the daily that's already been supported once. Well, that's a very good sign because that's where it bounced in the pre-market. As long as it holds on to this, I think you're just looking play trend. And UMAC, as I said, is going to do better day trading volume than AVAV. That's just how it is.
I was going to look at ARKQ. I mean, I've been in this name for 8 months or so, and it has, drone names in it. It has, this is the Cathie Wood Autonomous and Robotics ETF. So these are the top holdings in said ETF. So if we just kind of drag this down a little bit here and maybe zoom in a little bit. So here we go, man. It's Tesla. So this is again, it's an ETF that I'm in and just letting Cathie manage this for whatever percentage point she wants to. Tesla, AMD. So those have been really good ones, And then you got Rocket Lab in here. Obviously, that's been pretty big there as well. Kratos, Alphabet, Palantir, Deere, Amazon. Look at this. Lunar, Archer, Taiwan, AVAV, L3 Harris. So to me, like buying this one was actually a pretty decent idea, and it just keeps on ticking higher. So really appreciate what this has been doing, especially over the last little while. This is a hold for me probably forever with those names in there. Really, like the space and like the fact that it's not as volatile as the rest of them, right? Like if you pick this one on Jan 12th, although it's just finally turning around right now. Oops, this is January, right into here where we made those picks. You'd get 128 up to 140. So you'd have to go through that sort of dip down. But there's the bounce off the 200. Wish I would have even been looking at it when that had happened, but it's a nice move up. I like ARKQ even moving forward. I mean, I just showed you all the names there. So it's an autonomous technology and robotics. So, they'll probably dip into some SpaceX there as well. It's got some Tesla. So I really like ARKQ moving forward. It's 922. Nebius, which you saw core, we've already starting to go. And then we'll talk a little bit about Salesforce, and we'll get ready to put some money to work.
If you are on financial Twitter at all, you've probably seen this guy's face over the last couple months, especially. This is Leopold Aschbrenner, and his fund just disclosed a stake in Nebius. Kind of significant stake as well. Yeah,
Leopold Aschenbrenner, his situational awareness LP, took a big position. 5.6% passive stake, that's about 12.4 million shares, comes to roughly about $2.6 billion. It makes it the largest position in their equity portfolio, and they don't have a small one, about $13.7 billion of assets under management. It's a good look here for NBIS, already booming here in the pre-market, Adara.
How do you guys feel about Nebius here?
Well, it added to the list of things that are up 10% that can be in play for you. And we haven't even talked about crypto, which I think is a bit of a fade. It's a breakout into overhead resistance right now, at least a little bit of it, which I think would be that concern. When you look at the daily chart, like, see what I mean about breakout into there, overhead resistance? I'm not usually the biggest fan of that because if you're getting the break, it's fine. If you get it at 226 as it's breaking out, then you've got room like $6-7 into the 233. Now it just needs to actually take out this prior high for the more momentum. Instead, you're hanging out in the middle of that top range where you'd be looking dip buys at 225. I got enough things we're looking for some dip buys on today. Like IREN looks good, Marvell looks good, Intel 117 looks pretty interesting as well. It's just, there's a bunch. I don't know that I would add Nebius to that list. It now needs to make a new breakout because it already gave you 225 into that high. So it's got to make the next break for you. And I don't know if I want anything on a break when the market is flat. And I feel like the dance with the NASDAQ at the 3,000, I keep saying 30,000 level. Like we already saw what happened when we lost 30,000 in the afternoon. You lose that again today, and you're not going to want to be long anything at the top. You're going to want to be showing some patience if we lose that right out the gates. Whoops, over here on the NASDAQ.
Yes, we do have super chat here about Dell. So we want to say thank you. Love the show, the content. Keep it up. You're up 50% now on Dell. So there it is right there. We have the super chat up so we can take a look at that there. Yeah, okay. So have some FOMO into earnings, but didn't want to lose real gains. Suggestions on managing. Yeah, I mean, so it's exactly what's up, WRX? It's exactly, I mean, I guess maybe you're a Subaru fan. That's exactly what I did with Marvell there yesterday, right? And it was get out. We were lucky enough to get out in the after hours around that. We did get 218. I mean, I can show you the print anyways in the after hours. But I would think the same thing for Dell. I mean, you are now getting that huge outside move that you definitely were not expecting. So I would say, again, like take some profit. I only took 20%, and you don't know what Dell's going to come up with. And, thankfully Marvell, had the goods and now is back up 4 or 5%. Will Dell go up 4 or 5%? I mean, again, the benefit of Marvell's move yesterday was the fact that it fell back into that 200 level. So it wasn't going out at 220 for the earnings, right? If it was going out at 220, we'd be down today. So Dell might go out at its highs. So I would just say, you do whatever you want. Yesterday Marvell's story was fine, and it tanked about 12% or so, was up 4 or 5 in the pre-market, very similar to this, and then it made a move lower. So I actually have Dell written down. You guys can go check it out. The sticky note's been like super hot fire. And I want to say thank you to everybody who was responding to this. We had over 12 responses. They're Dane generous. Really loving Trader Joseph there because, again, this guy's got horse sense there. He was talking about CrowdStrike while I was talking about Marvell. So the two big winners right there, we say shout out to Joe. This is why it's Katina Wilson Capital, man. I think it should almost be Wilson first, then Katina Capital right there. He and I, yeah, there we go, Joe. We got him, my guy. We got him, my guy. Right there, Mr. Worldwide. But we're going to be all over this post again, and we're going to hopefully, we got to change some of the rules about moving forward here, making our picks in June. But here we go. So, that's yesterday's. What am I talking about? We had today's sticky note on Dell, so 313 long. So let's just wait to see if that comes in there. We already did, well, actually, we didn't even talk about Dell. They're going to report tonight. So we'll see there. They got a new deal today with the government. We'll see what winds up happening with Dell back into 313 or so level. Some of the highs from yesterday on a potential pullback for DELL, Dell. Dell, Randy, we like Dell around here. Yeah, Dell, good computer there. You gave it the thumbs up. Solid, and then donating $7 billion to get kids into the stock market.
Which is a fantastic.
I like that. That is for sure. And you
got to be able to acknowledge the good.
How about this, U.S. government? Hey, donate $7 billion, and maybe I'll mention you a couple weeks later, and you'll make much more than $7 billion net account. Hey, man, everybody wins. But if you thought that this stock market was not rigged, then you have to go back 6 years ago when we started the show, and I mentioned right then and there that is exactly what happened. So congratulations to Michael Dell and everybody that's a beneficiary of those $1,000 accounts. I mean, I think that's amazing, and I'm actually glad the stock is doing that. But no surprise that wound up happening. 2 minutes to go, CRM talk.
Just be aware here as well, guys. We are getting some comments from Fed's Williams. He's a voting member, Fed president of New York. On the bottom here, he is saying that the Fed needs to be clear that it wants to get inflation down. He also expects the hit to inflation to peak. So he thinks we could still get inflation higher than the next couple months. Let's talk here, though, about CRM. Pretty choppy action on this. Guidance was a bit mixed here for
it was, Adara, roughly in line or slightly soft for the full year revenue guide anyway. The current quarter wasn't that bad, 388 versus the $3.12 expected for EPS on revenue of 11.13, beating the 11.05. However, they're seeing some softness. Tableau, which is a sector they have, their commerce, their broader software demand pockets, not that good. However, silver lining, let's talk about Agentforce, basically the product Benioff has been pounding the table on for the last couple of years, jumped 205% year over year in usage, up to 1.28 billion. But the bottom line is strong profitability, improving AI monetization. Not good enough yet, though, to basically outdo the software narrative that we've been talking about.
Not really any buyers or sellers in force as of yet for CRM. How do you guys like this stock today?
I don't like it. I think when you look at CRM, it's just been too out of favor for a long time. There's nothing about this that says it's breaking back out. You've still got all kinds of resistance at the 50-period moving average until if it can close above after earnings, give it a few days, and if it's able to break out above $180 and get a close there, great. If not, I still think this one is one of those short the pop situations when it gets into that resistance of the 200-period moving average. We did have some imbalances, only about 30 seconds to go. Lumen's still there, 640,000. IBIT was a sell. I guess it's no longer a sell, but Bitcoin getting smacked. Either was a sell imbalance, and then there was, I guess it made the bottom. But I like Bitcoin as a short today. We're not going to see 42.2, but VWAP matters a bit more later on in the session. So pre-market highs, going to look to short any trend break on Bitcoin that we can get. IREN on watch. I don't know if it's going to get to that 63 level the way it's going, but we have less than 10 seconds to go on this Thursday. It's packed with a lot of earnings movers. No question about that as we'll get the party started now.
All right, I'm looking for a TQQ short right off the jump. So let's wait to see. It's starting to go back up to the upside. We don't have to do anything if this keeps on happening. I was going to go short at 81.40 break right there, but there it goes, upside. And I don't know what's leading this thing. Is it my guy Marvell? We can have a quick little look at that one. MRVL. Downside. So here we go, man. There's that 200 level for MRVL. We did this yesterday. Came in and just kept on coming in. So Marvell opens the day at 208 there on a good report back into 200. We said we'd like to buy that, but again, we're trying to learn our lessons from yesterday and not exactly hop right in to something that quickly, but there it goes. So that's a nice move right there into 200. Back upside is Marvell for now. Dell, we wrote down 313. We can wait to see if that winds up happening. It doesn't even look like it's open yet, Dell, on the New York Exchange. So, and then IBIT waiting for a short. That's not coming in. And then I wrote down Meta for a long if we dipped. We didn't really get to talk too much about that. The 635.
That wasn't on the watch list. Or the wash.
Oh, well, there goes that trade. The 635 area we wrote down just came in, and that was it. So now up to 642. We'll wait to see if that one comes back and try to be a little bit patient here as the market does make a run to the high side of the day there, including our good friend, the TQQs, makes another move higher there. I don't know what's rallying the market right now, but it's the first minute, so we don't really need to figure it out too much right now. Fed Williams speaking right now.
Yeah, IREN's not moving. We're not being rallied by Bitcoin because that's at the lows. Definitely not being rallied by Bitcoin. NVIDIA. Let's just say it's NVIDIA for now, because NVIDIA just popped heavy into 213.5. Marvell's doing what? It didn't actually get down to 96, but it got to 98 and is back to the 200 level. So I guess the reversion's going on there. We're not going to get to short this pop if you're not going to do it. Go with the market, IBIT. You just have to go with the market so we can get a good price if we're going to look short. Not at the low of the day when the market's at the highs. But if it can pop up even like 0.5% or so, there might be a short to be had. Intel's also looking very strong. There's another name that's going. Intel up to 122 and absolutely flying higher here. So it looks like the chip names are leading the way so far today.
All right, we have a first trade on. We said we were going to look short on the TQQs, so we're going to try it. I'm just going to give it against that high right there. It's just made it at 82.20. So if we do break, we're going to get out 82. I'm trying to get more at 82 flat. So 82.26 or so, the day's high. If it does rip through that, then let's get a little bit more right now. I'm still waiting for some more just above $82, 82.05. So we'll see if we can get that. I don't know. I just offered it and missed it. So that's why we'll just sit there and see if we can get it. But we'll average back in a little bit there at 95. So we're short now 95.5, 96 there on the TQs. And let's see if that one starts to work out. We got a PCE number that was pretty much in line. We've seen numbers get faded off of economic posts. So let's just wait to see. There goes the NASDAQ.
GDP was bad, though.
Yeah, exactly. And there it comes in right again. I mean, whatever, man. Winning is what it is. There's another one to the downside. It's TQQs. We have the short, so it's your first trade. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a flush right there. But hey, man, this is what it's about. Made the trade. We liked it. We liked the short. So there we go, man, on the TQs. And boom, shakalaka. Another one there for the short as we go back to the future. And again, put on another one there. So we're short right now on the TQs, and it's heading lower. So not too bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. And that's all you got to look for is wait for that opportunity. When it does present itself, I guess we'll have to wait for a pop. I'm going to be patient about IBIT. As I said, I'm not shorting any lows of the day, but I do believe we're going to be a little bit red on that sucker here as well. And we're going to go up to the desk with Adara as the chips starting to give a little bit back.
Zscaler, there's no news on this other than its earnings report yesterday. This is day 2, but I did have to mention this name that sold off more than 30% yesterday and is SSR is down another at least 2.5% today. So unfortunately, more selling off here on ZS or ZS, whatever you want to call it here, on earnings day 2. I do want to do some housekeeping as well, guys. At 10 a.m., you're going to get new home sales units and new home sales month over month. 10:15, you'll get comments from Feds Musalem. He is not a voting member. Feds Williams, who is currently speaking, as Sean and I both mentioned here, he is a voting member. And he most recently saying here that persistently high inflation would call for higher rates, but that's not where we are today. So saying that there are inflationary concerns, but he doesn't think they need to do a rate hike as of right now. Back to you.
Yeah, well, the rate hike's not until the end of the year. That's what they're pricing in anyway. So at the end of the day, all this ho-hum back and forth, the data is going to matter a little bit more for the next couple of months. And we didn't get anything that really pushed the needle either direction as far as I'm concerned. So they can speak all they want. Right now, it's not making much of a difference.
Okay, you know, daily goal met 935. I mean, we always talk about this kind of stuff, and, you know, it is what it is, like we keep on saying here. There's the TQQ short. So 81.50 into 82. We're lucky enough to get 82. It's on the note. We can watch Dell. We could watch IBIT. We could watch Meta. But at the end of the day, man, that's it. So it's over with. It's 8:35. If you're a trader looking for profit, you might be done right now today because that's that. I'll just bid out a little bit more. I still have half of this on, so whether or not it continues to tank or not, I don't know. But we've already made our goal on half of our positions. So far, so good. We would have liked to get a little bit more, but, you know, we didn't get the full load there. So we'll just celebrate what it is and just, you know, continue to show, you know, what we're talking about here. It's not just what we talk about, because we could sit here and talk whatever we want, right? It's, you put on the trades. This is what we're doing. This is, you know, you guys are here for trades and talk, and I think we're doing both of that. So we want to thank everybody for all of their super chats there as well. And there you go. So end of the day, film world, that's literally why we're here. So there you go, man. Hopefully you guys are getting educated from some of us, and, you know, trading from some of us, and all of us together as a team at Trader TV Live is what makes this thing quite special. So there it goes, man. Congratulations.
And that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Like if you hit your goal, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'd say that's true.
But some traders will hit their goal and then keep trading. Some traders will be
we have to. It's a show.
Some traders will also just pack up and go home. Other traders might decide, okay, well, the next thing for me is the close. The next thing for me is
just have discipline.
Nat Gas futures at 10:30. By the way, Nat Gas futures will get there at 10:30. The last 3 times in a row, Nat Gas futures has made a distinct trend break and just gone up after the fact. We'll look for that again this week, but that's not till 10:30. But it also does require that you wait for the opportunity that you're looking for. That was the case yesterday, because yesterday was one of those tricky mornings where we were just heading to the downside, and if you wanted to buy dips, you had to wait for your shot, and none of those have come remotely to price levels that I want. IREN not looking like it wants to drop at all. Like, the market's coming back in. IREN doesn't even seem to care about this 63 level that I like, and it's holding VWAP. But I said I would not prioritize the volume weighted average price until the opening range is met. So I'll continue to let this try to sell off and see if we can't get a better price. But this is holding up respectably. I know it's down 3%, but this was an absolute runner today that required a lot of patience for the long. Like, it didn't really start going till 9:50 when the breakout happened on IREN. And if you didn't give it till that time, you missed out on the big move. So I don't want that to be me at all with this bad boy. And conservative investment, you're right, 95% of traders lose money. The biggest reason why they don't trade the things that make money for them on a consistent basis, they lose more than they make. You know, well, that's obvious if you lose money. But when I say that, it's you take a trade risking $100, but you make $20 on that trade. So like you're taking a trade that you're risking $100, but when you profit on it, you make 50. That's what I'm getting at. So then if you could be winning 60% of the time and you're still losing with that. So that's usually the reason. And then the other one, of course, is putting capital towards things that never made money for them.
Yeah, and it's super hard. I mean, it's one of the hardest jobs. You're not going to have a 95%. I think it's even higher than that failure rate if this was something that was easy, right? And you can always ask us if we're up or if we're down, and we'll definitely let you guys know that. And then you can go from there. I know the guys on the midday, Sharif, always letting you guys know. I know Joe does as well. If they're red or green on the day, and then you can sort of take that for what it's worth and get it all figured out, right? I've always said this is not a full-time job, so be very, very careful with trading. Like I said, I've been here 25 years and have yet to see, really a successful trader that's been doing this for even 5 or 6 years that have made a decent living off of this. There are going to be one or two, obviously, but when we're talking about thousands, and I can maybe name 3, it's a tough one, right? And so just stay humbled with what you're doing, and that's why we always talk about take profits where they lie sometimes. But all right, let's go back over to the market here because we've already got this one, and that's what we're doing, man. We're not going to diamond hands it too much, but we get the high of the day, the trade that we want. As Neil said, man, be disciplined, be respectful of your levels, take the trades that you like, and hopefully they'll work out for you. And that's what it's all about, right? Is just repetition and studying things and having some sort of confidence to do something right. Just like the IPOs and stuff, right? I mean, we put 1,000x risk on IPOs than we do on just general trades, right? And so we have more faith in those trades. All right, that's Marvell hovering around $200. I thought Marvell had an opportunity to get back there. I did say maybe we get back into that 220 area. Does not look like that, right? And so there we go. Haven't made a trade yet today. Yesterday we caught the falling knife and it just kept on cutting all the way down. And today we're just gonna wait for Marvell. It's trying to base out here at 200. We're not too, wow. This is starting to become on the futures there, as there it goes right back in. I mean, we literally, and this is why we're putting out those notes, man. I mean, we're calling these kind of plays, and we saw economic numbers many times come through, and there's the fade right back in. Of course, we wrote those levels down before the numbers came out, but there it goes to the downside, and just doing what we're doing, right? So that's that. Tesla maybe on a run. I was going to look at Dell next, but Tesla's at this level from yesterday that we had talked about around this 436 area. That was a hold until eventually it broke. So, watching out for Tesla. There it is right here at those levels again. Oopsies. What am I zooming out for? Right into here. So, you're back up to some of these levels now for Tesla. Could be a fade here if this market gets a little bit worse, but we're almost in that club already here with the TQs. And, again, good trade. Obviously wish we had more, but there it comes into the downside for the first trade for me today. And it is what it is. And as you said now, goal met now 130% of goal because we are holding on to only a quarter of it, but it's been a decent move there so far, and I'd like to short IBIT, but it's only going down. So right now we missed that one. Maybe Dell 313, but so far so good here on the NASDAQ.
No, I got the eyes on NVIDIA now. At this point, when you lose 30,000, I'm just going to be short-term looking for short trade opportunities that aren't going to be IBIT because you can't really trade something that is not moving the way you expect. But we're about to break trend here with the market losing that 30,000 on the NASDAQ. I mean, the ES, I don't know, what are we at, 75.2, kind of a random number. But we have already gone decidedly red, and as that breaks trend, you're at a resistance spot anyways on NVIDIA at 2213.5. So yesterday afternoon, resistance level, you had a prior close up here at 215. I think it's worth a couple of shots at that bad boy. Shane B. Larkin, I see your super chat. We'll throw it up there. Thank you, Andre, for throwing that one up there because I'm not really on the page. I get that you don't talk about share size, but it'd be insightful if you could talk about in percentage, like trade made, lost X%. I'll always talk in these terms. A winning trade, let's just say 50%, if I have my biggest loss in a week, I'll put that in terms of the percentage that it is of my biggest winning trade. To me, that's the only metric that matters because it gives you an idea of like the scale, right? So if I get in NVIDIA here at 213.5 and it goes all the way down to 211, I get my VWAP, I get all those targets out, then I'll look to make double what I would lose on any of the trades that you've seen this week, Like that's the idea. Like that's the risk reward. If I take this trend break and it goes perfectly, then I want to make sure I'm losing about 2x of if it goes to the downside. Like that's how you try to measure so that you can have successful, I guess, consistency in your trading. Redwire, another space name. Thank you, Trade. I guess it's Trade Options in there. And even thank you for all the super chats. And also thank you for the memberships that you gave out, more importantly, Trade Options. Redwire is probably a continuation play, but you know what? I didn't really look at space today. I'm being real with you. Like, it wasn't really on the radar, and that was probably a mistake. Because sometimes you look left, and Redwire, again, 23 to 25. Like, this sucker has been on fire. I just felt like, okay, you had a pullback day. You're probably looking maybe a consolidation day or something. No, straight up breakout. So Redwire continues to ride the wave of all of these space names. We got 2 weeks till SpaceX happens. I guess it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow, more technically. And ride the wave until then. For now, the space names are it's probably one of the best sectors out there, if not the best the last couple of weeks.
Intel 119 fading back out again. Okay. Oh, there it goes down into 80 again as, we have one trade on right there, and that is what it is now to the downside. Let's have a quick look at Dell right now and just see what's going on over there. We did write down 313 as a possible dip buy area, so we're getting pretty close right now for Dell to potentially come into play. There goes Intel breaking as well through 119. That's actually, Intel down at these levels, there's something interesting. Oops, INTC, not ICG, INTC, there it is right there. Interesting levels because you're at that 200 period moving average and sort of a pre-market zone that was messed around with for a couple minutes there. So, this could be a buy in and around this area for Intel if you believe in this market, but we're now quite nicely underneath VWAP, and we've made this whole move back. So Intel's definitely faded with that one. So yeah, there goes Intel to the downside right now, and looking to get even lower goes Intel. But I like the stock, down 1.9%. Maybe today is not the day for some of these semiconductors. Let's go have a quick look at SockCell just to get a little bit of a better picture on what the whole entire market's doing. Remember, this is a triple levered, so you're not, is it triple or is it 2 times? It is 3 times. So yeah, you're not going to get a huge move on SockCell today. If that's going to be 3 times the average, then I guess is 0.7 down right now for many of those names. But we saw a name like AMD absolutely rocket to the high side as well. So that one's now back up to 500 and actually got into 508. So AMD still up that 0.7. We just said that was the average, and that's what it's doing. So maybe a little bit of a pullback here for AMD as we've broken below VWAP and maybe going into the 200 period. Right now, Intel's already there. But oh boy, as we get going now to the downside, and there we go again, man. It's the TQs. It's a party over here right now on the NASDAQ if you're short, and we are. So, that's a day trade for you. There goes Meta, downside. Disappointed, obviously, in Meta. We had that monster yesterday where we put up some numbers, that's for sure. But right now, we got to wait for Meta to do something. It just touched down at 630. Here comes the move back. Maybe a take of your 25-period moving average gets you a little going there on Meta, so that could be a big name to look at. I'm pretty much a futures, which you guys can see, and a big cap kind of trader there. We have small caps coming with you guys at the middle of the day, and of course, if there's anything halting or anything like that, we'll be sure to bring that up. So
not
keep
today,
those.
there's not.
Yeah, there's just SPRC. I just saw halting, so we can have a quick look on there. 15 here, there's a good one. Talk about something going on today. We just said maybe nothing, but there's SPRC, huge move there, 16 million shares just coming off halt, up 230%, SPRC. So this was found out on our scanner there. This is obviously some sort of a space thing here with that kind of a name.
Spark.
Yeah,
I recognize the name. I do not believe they're associated with space. They've rallied in the past.
Okay, Spark right there. There it is right there. SPRC starting to rally up again. But hey, man, rally on, Garth, because there it is. There's a nice push into here. Look, we're going to look for other opportunities, but you can see here, we've sort of hit those goals, and there it goes to the downside. And I have no idea what percentage of this one is as far as the winner, but I just, it's right here. You guys can see. So no matter what share size or what rules you guys are using, this one never went against. I wish it did because we would have got some more shares. But there it is, right to the downside. Potentially looking to cover a little bit. This is when that number came out, in this area. So there's the move higher. This is 830. So there's the number area. I'm going to take another bid as we just talk like that. There it is. We get a 78 and, doing pretty well there. SPRC, a halter.
SPRC is a halter and definitely a small capper to watch. We did get out of our NVIDIA that tagged the volume weighted average price. I'm going to get back over to IREN. I'll reload this. If it goes anywhere near that 213.5, I want to try to reload that one on NVIDIA. But IREN is holding up respectably, let's just say. You can't seem to break out this pre-market low, and we're about that time. It was 950 or so when this really got going. The first time anyways. It was actually right here at 948 when it made that trend break, and it was the one long that we were able to get. And yesterday I had to lose 2 times actually before getting the long in IREN. Today, a little bit more patience. So we've got a bottom, we've got a higher low forming and a bit of a trend break. Once this candle closes in the green, it'll be the first long for the day. But it's into a weak market, remember. So it took 1 for 3 on IREN to make it work. Thankfully, I think we've missed out on the first loser potentially with this name. The Nasdaq's still bleeding to the downside. We've got Ank here in the chat. My third super chat, appreciate you. Nebius was covered. Yes, we did talk about Nebius. I don't recall. I guess we didn't talk about Datadog. I didn't remember seeing that one on Datadog. I'm just going to get in, and then I'm going to throw my stop because it's always the prior bar, which will be conveniently. Actually, this will end up under the even dollar. And that makes it a lot easier. So I want to get out on the even dollar. Datadog, huh? Curious about that one? Well, it's probably not going to be anything but a dog today. But if we're being honest, one thing you've got to consider is forget about the fact that it is down for a quick little second and then just sort of remember, like, this was a huge spike from 222. So if you don't lose that level, in some ways, it's really not all that bad. Here for Datadog. I just think a lot of times when you are priced like this and when you are trending like this, usually the shocks are going to come in the other direction. And look at that channel right in there. You know what? Here's what I would say. If this loses this channel to the downside, Datadog 200. A great place. If I was long, whenever I'm long something like that, I usually put a trail on trend lines. I love those trend lines. That's the way I work off them. And the thing I like about them is it gets binary. You break the trend I'm in, you break the prior bar I'm out. And yesterday in IREN, it did it a couple times in here. It got once, twice, and it was the third time that was good. I think I've missed the first one, so we didn't take that L. The second one, you just saw it run the low again. But if it does it a third time, I'm going to go for IREN again. Like, this was a great long yesterday. I want to give it every single chance to be able to go. But it's got to hold above that trend line. I'm never not going to stop out there and look for a second entry. There's nothing wrong with trading it 2 or 3 times to get it right. That way, no one loss is going to ruin the day.
All right, so the market just started to move a little bit there. So we're going to have to wait to see where we wind up going. I'm going to put a stop. I mean, our stop, we didn't even really have, I mean, we had a stop, was the high there. But that stop was only 20 cents. You know, we'll take 100 cents on it to the downside. So I'm going to stop out if we do break above this 81.20 area, and then we'll just regroup, right? Because, like I said, we've hit what we need to hit now. We'll put a stop there for it, and then see if it does wind up coming out. Because the market just kind of picked up a little bit of volume there off some of those lows. Let's see where we wind up going now. I'm going to always check back on Marvell. We like that stock, but not today. It's not doing a whole heck of a lot. If anything, this 199 area, I like it. I like it a lot. But, you know, yesterday we did step into it a bit too early. So let's give it a little bit of room now. I think you can almost give it to that 199, 198. That's 198, sorry. Area low, 197.70. But again, you know, it's just one of those things where you got to, if you're going to use sort of that logic there about what Neil just mentioned there, you know, getting in once, losing, getting in twice, losing, getting a third time winning, you sort of got to figure out to try to use the same share size for all 3 of those.
Well, that's one thing. I never, like, for those, some traders will say, I think I heard Louis say this, you'll take it and then you'll take more the next time, I don't believe in that. I think you just try to make it so that every
single trade is the same. You got to add it up. If you lose 10 cents, then you got to make 21 cents the next trade, right? Because that makes you back.
You don't want to have to make like 10 wins for 1 loss.
Yeah, exactly. No, you don't want to do that. That's for sure. All right, so Marvell, there goes. So now it's starting to go back up. Oh, yeah, and by the way, that ends that trade. We had 10% left on that move higher. We always try to hold that. We talk about that every single time. But yeah, again, good levels there. We talked about why we wanted to get out at those levels. We showed you yesterday's areas, just similarly to Tesla on those areas as well. So there's Tesla, 437 trying to go. I guess we missed that Marvell. We just said we should have gone long there against that 197, 198. That would now be, you know, multiple dollars in the money off of that level, but we didn't take it, so maybe now we wait for another grind lower there. Okay, look at, hey, what's up, T-Money? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for all the support that you continue to give us all there. All right, thank you. Bang, 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 bang. Good time to buy. A lot of high price targets by a lot of good analysts, and keep getting good news. Seriously considering it. What are you trying to buy? Just the markets, or look at ALT? Oh, the stock is ALT. I don't even, what is ALT? I
use dollars.
Altimmune? I'm on T-Money. I mean, I don't know anything.
I don't know.
You know, like, I don't know anything about this stock. It's a $3 name. I get why you're super chatting it. Maybe we can try to, you know, draw some attention to it. But we will talk about it because you did give that super chat in there. Look, I mean, if you're going to talk, thank you, Randy. Look, I asked, you put in the chat there for coffee, and Randy just, like, immediately, we want to always say thank you to Randy. Everybody loves Randy around here for sure. But there it is. I'll talk about it because you super chatted, so thanks, T-Money. But here it is right here. So I was just going to say, if there's upgrades and if there's analyst action on it, that's great. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for. Just figure out what, and I'll take a story from Mitch, and I don't even know what this is in. But, you know, if you like the space that some of these names are in, whether or not this is therapeutics or Altimmune, I don't know what this is, some sort of maybe biotech. What you want to do is make sure that you like the space and then find a stock. So thank you, T-Money, and I hope I just did you good there with a little bit of coverage there on ALT. And thank you again for the super chat and all of your conviction with watching us here at Trader TV Live, Mr. Randy. They were looking at a stock that looks like drying paint over here right now in Altimmune. But Tesla, we're excited for Tesla, Randy, because we got SpaceX coming up. And that should be nice. There's been talks about a potential merger. I don't know exactly what that will mean for Tesla stock. Tesla deliveries are up. Okay.
But deliveries don't matter anymore.
We'd like to hear that one. Yeah, this is not the car company.
Right,
that,
do we care about deliveries anymore?
Bottom line.
I get, look, yeah, I suppose. I mean, it does help, but you still have to have a core business at the end of the day. But
yeah, they're the largest car maker, largest auto seller in the world for individual cars. Obviously, Volkswagen has all of those
they want autonomous
brands, right? So Volkswagen is huge. And I have a Volkswagen and a Tesla, and much prefer driving the Tesla, of course. But all right, well, that's an easy one. Okay, so I just drive. Not talking about the Cayenne or anything like that, there, Randy. But if I got you behind a Tesla, then you would, see that. But all right, Tesla right there. I like the short 438, 439 right now against that level. I just got to figure out what we like about this market right now because, like we said, I'm not going to go against the market. And right now, NASDAQ is kind of just hovering there. We did cover on that move higher. We got to stay disciplined, right? Or else that's it. So it breaks the 25 period moving average and we get out. Then there's a little bit of a fall down. I am thinking about getting back into this short. Just like to see it maybe rally a little bit first there. So yeah, I don't know, I was talking, my kid was asking me about FSD yesterday, so maybe we'll hop into it. I just like driving too much.
Finally getting the FSD.
No, I don't think I will, man.
You know what?
I like driving the car too much.
You can't care about what other people like. You got to do
yeah. I want to try it. So I think for $100 a month, probably try it.
I'm just curious because I'm a gigantic word of mouth person. Like, if I'm ever considering something, the first thing I want to think about is, okay, well, who do I know? And have they tried it? And then I can get there. No, like my neighbor doesn't have it across the street, and it's like.
I mean, all the reviews are amazing.
No, the reviews are fine.
I've heard nothing other than amazing.
I've just never heard it from somebody I know.
Yeah,
ultimately doesn't matter.
I'll tell you, it's amazing. I just haven't tried it yet. So I believe it. I just really like, honestly, it's. I don't know, whatever. All right, let's go over to Adara. By the way, Big Bear AI, let's get going on that one, man. Today we've got Marvell, Big Bear AI, and Eli Lilly in the portfolio there. And we're going to like to see some news on Big Bear AI, but Adara's got something for us as TQ's making moves again.
You have numbers in a couple minutes, guys. I'll see you soon for happening now in numbers, but I do want to mention here couple different comments coming out of the Middle East. Biggest one here coming from the Iran Deputy Foreign Minister saying, quote, the Americans committed mischief that is definitely a violation of the ceasefire and that they, quote, will not allow actions to undermine Iran's sovereignty over the Straits of Hormuz. So be aware. Unfortunately, more tensions in the Middle East. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes for new home sales. Back to you.
Oh yeah, there is new home sales. If you're into that sort of thing, and remember, there's still nat gas to come at 10:30. I think that's going to be. I didn't trade it last week, and that was a mistake. And fortunately, we had a viewer that took the long trade, but it was like 10 minutes after instead of right away. IREN's still trying to hold this trend break, but every single time it takes a low, I'm willing to get out. I'm looking at two things simultaneously here. One of them is Intel's almost at that 117 level on the note. It's gliding heavily lower relative to the market. The NASDAQ bounced VWAP, and this is still lower. So there's a decent chance it's going to break. But until it does, I will look for the reversion there. And we're finally into IBIT off of the volume weighted average price to the sell side. So IBIT, it didn't really give you, I mean, let's be real. IBIT didn't give you any chance unless you sat in it. And there was right here before the open that it had an upprint. Holds VWAP the first time, so short to the prior local high, which is about, I don't know, 73 change if you're looking at actual Bitcoin, and 41.35, let's call it. So risk about 10 pennies on that bad boy. But Intel, that's the one that's at the key current level for me here. The market's trying to bounce. 117 is just where it bottomed out the last two opens. So yesterday at the open and then go back a couple of days, exactly where it bounced at the open. So if it can hold that level, I'll look for a trend break on Intel, down 3.5%. This one's in a bit of a reset as well. Hey, there's an example where their core business, CPUs, actually ended up working out for them and was a big driver. Just no one expected it coming. So I didn't mean that nothing matters, that Tesla deliveries don't matter. I just don't think the stock trades on delivery. Of course, making money matters. I don't think it trades on deliveries and that kind of a fundamental anymore. Not that it ever did.
Okay, so Big Bear AI, I'm not sure if there's news on this one, but you were now in the money over 10% on Big Bear AI, and we have talked about this for a minute. There are numbers at 10, so we're going to go to Adara. How about now?
Here we are, guys, waiting. Looks like we just got these new home sales numbers. Negative 6.2% new home sales month over month for April. The actual print here coming in at 622,000 in terms of units. So again, April new home sales, 622,000 units here. Again, this came out here at 10 a.m. New home sales for the month of April, negative 6.2%. Here is the market just continuing to push a little bit higher here. Though start of the day, not so great here for the NASDAQ. I'll zoom out here on the 15-minute chart. Right now, we're poised for our second straight green 15-minute candle. Let's see if this trend can continue. In terms of where we are compared to the close right now, we're more or less flat, still slightly red here on the NASDAQ. We'll take a look here at the S&P 500. On the SPY, it looks like we're actually, again, slightly flat to more or less in line with where we closed. We'll take a look here at the USO, which is also going to be in watch as we continue to hear comments from the Middle East with regards to the Middle East conflict. Let's talk about SNOW here. Snowflake. Earnings day one. This report was very well received by the market. Did pull back initially at the open, but still hanging out here up like 36%. So great look here for SNOW. Snow certainly not falling right now. Other names that reported last night or this morning in our earnings day one plays included Marvell, CRM, which is actually doing quite nicely here, KSS in the retail space. You had Best Buy. You also had Chinese EV names like XPEV. So tons of earnings plays to be aware of. And one that's going to be an earnings day one play tomorrow is Dell. Now, DELL was also on watch today. They won a $9.7 billion contract, or rather their Dell Federal Systems business did with the Pentagon. So Pentagon deal with earnings after the bell tonight. Other post-market earnings plays other than Dell here do include the likes of Costco and AEO. Back to you.
Did short the TQs again right there, and our stop was 50s, and it's a big one, man. We've more than tripled our net actually on that play. So there we go. I'm glad we didn't take the rest of the day off right there. But hey, if you're like us, what would your trading look like if capital wasn't the constraint? That's the reality for most traders. It's not skill, well, it is skill holding them back, but it's generally not. You could wait for your size to change if you've developed that skill, and Trade the Pool changes all of that because they give you up to $200,000 in buying power without, of course, committing your own capital. Full access to stocks and ETFs. Wow, let's go, TQQs. Both long and short, executed with precision and freedom, serious traders expect. You can also trade over here, the TQs. Your performance is measured by one standard: discipline, risk management, and consistent execution. Meet the standard and operate at scale. No subs, no ongoing obligations, just a clear path forward. For those ready to trade beyond limitations, this is the next level. Visit trade.pool.com, one word, and then also one word, use Trader TV to grab your 10 points off. But there it goes, man. We, we had a little bit more conviction because we didn't get our full share size right there. We got about, I think it was 2 units. We were looking for 5. We grabbed 5 units right there on the 50-period moving average, and then run it right back into the 200. And now we get a freaking lot lower right now, and we get that fill. And there we go, man. This is a big one. As I said, we didn't actually triple our net. We doubled our net into that one. So let's wait to see if we can get it again. Is that Ramin?
RCAT from Ramin.
What's up, Ramin? Always puts a smile on my face whenever I hear her voice. One of my favorites. Ramin. Oh yeah. By the way, Ramin, you and I right now starting to kick it out. Look at Ramin here. Not only one of the best workers around right now. Yeah. We'll go to there in a minute. There's Ramin right here. 29% Ram. You and I right now. Yeah, that's right. She just said "yeah, bitch" in my ear, so that's why we love her. There's 29% up, man, making the rest of us look a little foolish right there. What's up, Adara?
First, shout out to Ramin here and our awesome production team. But I want to talk here about Microsoft. MSFT just pushing higher here. It's the 5-minute chart. If you look at the 3-minute chart, just strength all morning. The information reporting that the company is going to be releasing a new coding model next week as they make a comeback attempt. Again, this is according to the information. I want to mention as well here, Robinhood strong could have something to do with the fact that they've apparently launched their official Trump accounts app today. Now, the Trump accounts don't go live, to my understanding, until July 4th. Of 2026 in time for America 250. But either way here, Trump accounts app news for Robinhood and Microsoft here with coding model to be released. Back to you.
Maybe this time Robinhood will actually break $80.
Ooh.
Yeah. Whoever is selling at 80, get out of the way. I hate your guts. I hope all the bad things in the world happen to you and only you and no one else. I don't know who's selling at $80. It's just, you can see what's going on with the stock. It's a long enough consolidation. Do something already, Robinhood. I'm only saying that because I recently bought it. Like literally, it's been exactly at the same spot. Hey, the good news is it hasn't broken lower. We have that, you know what? We have the RCAT super chat. Okay, Let's just get to RCAT. Because I feel like this one, it just broke trend on RCAT. RedCat just broke trend, but maybe could hold on to VWAP for you here. It was a great reversal trade. See, this is the candle I wanted IREN to do, and it didn't, obviously. But this is higher time frame breakout. Still has an upward sloping 200-period moving average. I want to thank Brian Shannon for pointing this one out. And I'm not saying it's the be-all, end-all, but dip buys and trend breaks are better if you have it with an upward sloping 200-period moving average. It means overall the trend is up. So when you get these little breakouts or these, they'll just continue a little bit further because it's with an overall trend. So even as it pulls back, respect the $12 level there on RedCat. Unfortunately, the market might not be helping RedCat today. I know you have a lot of bullish stocks, which might be putting in some reversals and trend breaks as we head lower. Bitcoin, we're going to keep reloading this at VWAP. It continues to go down. And Peter is shorting ONDS. Wish you luck. We just had someone win long on ONDS, 9 to 11. Oh, went to 13. Hey, you bank profits, you bank profits. And so as this one comes back in, 13 trend break. See what happens at the volume weighted average price, man. Like that's the thing that'll matter. I love this chart on the breakout. Like if I was looking at this, I'd be preferring longs because it's everything I just said about RCAT looks even better on ONDS here. Love that steep upward sloping 200 period. You get that nice consolidation break. Now you're finally above this 11, 12 area. Yeah, I like that chart.
I'm not reloading this TQ, so anybody that missed it the first time, we only have 20% left right now. We did only have 10 that first time. This time we had 20. We were waiting for a lower. We had our bid here at 80, 90, 80, 90. And we're still going to stop out if it breaks 50s. So if it breaks up there, we're going to get out. We'll lose 12 cents, 16, probably more. Let's say 18 cents on 20%. So that will come back in a little bit, but that's why, again, take the profit when it's there. And, it bounced off levels. again, right? There's your 25, there's your 200. And then, you know, we had seen a little level there. We had broken lower. Still hoping that happens. I don't want to give this up, but we will drop it. Because if I let that 20%, like if we on average take 20 cents here, maybe a little bit more, then we can't, like, even if I have 20% left, if I lose 40 cents on that last 20%, then I'm going to be giving back a decent part of what we've done. So here it comes right back. So hands off. If it breaks 50, we're out there. We get that housing pending home sales number. Seems to have rallied just a little bit. And I actually don't really like the way this is moving. So I'm going to put a bid at 39 and take some out. So there it is, man. Now we're down to 15% left. And we'll see what winds up happening now with that trade as we take a little bit off just for a protection side of that trade, and hopefully it comes back down, and we would like that a lot if that is the case. All right, man, there's Marvell, and so we missed that first move there. We talked about maybe buying that 200 dip. We got to let this thing settle down. I know it's 10-10 right now, but I don't really like trading, and you guys have heard me say this many times. I don't really love trading stocks on earnings day, one like that. We traded Marvell yesterday. I thought there was some opportunity there for that. Today, I'm not sure. I liked the quarter, thought it deserved higher. We got out of a little bit there in the after hours, but yeah, Marvell right here, getting back into the low of the day. So like I said, no matter what we think of the stock, we have to trade it. And right now it's not really doing anything for me. And if anything, I'm biased to the short side right now because we're underneath everything now. And there's the stop out on the TQs. So yeah, man, we'll own that. And we got stopped out there, and there's the stop out. So yeah, out of that one. And now we can regroup and maybe wait. If it gets back up to our 82 area now, we can reload the boat. I mean, that's what it's all about there. And someone did mention about Palantir. Okay, there it is.
Palantir's having a great, yeah, go ahead.
Closed 3% on your short. There you go, man. I don't know what advice you took, but I think that's great. I closed on my short as well. I know that.
Yeah, taking profits was just the idea that we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And taking profits is the name of the game. It's hard to win if you don't take profits there. And I hate to talk about like winning versus losing or anything like that. But
Palantir's going to do this.
Palantir is breaking 140, not yet.
Well, you know what? What's so good about this trend down in Palantir is now it's technically breaking the trend line without it even breaking 140. I still think 140 is the key here on the daily because that's the 50-period moving average on the daily. So I still want to see it break 140, but you're breaking the trend today, especially with the market doing the bit of a reversal it did. I took another leg out here as we just kind of cratered, but we just bounced off of the lows here. So you made a fresh push down in IBIT, you bounced off the lows. I'm gonna go from the open and show you what looks like the trend line lining up with VWAP. So this is where I'll look for reloads. Forget about where the stop was before. I'm gonna look for re-entry on that trend line if we can get it. And Intel just held 117 nicely. So there, look at the reversal at the 117. It's pretty steep, but now I'm going to look for that long here in INTC. I would love to be able to get it in the third range, like 117 quarter to 40 is where I want to try to pick this one up. That's a heck of a stretch in here off this reversal. So if I can get one entry at 50 and then one entry at 20s, that would satisfy me, and got to hold on to 117. That's the key price.
500, yeah, I mean, it's a good question there.
500?
It's up to T-Money. Yeah, this is where we sold it the other day, AMD, of course.
Oh, the sell.
And so it's at 500 right now, T-Money. You want to know about a short. It's at VWAP, so I don't have any problems at all shorting this name, but you got to give it at least to this like 50250 area. And here it goes back upside. I'm hesitant. We got out of the futures. It's coming back in a little bit. You know, we got stopped out there. It goes to 70 and comes back in. I'm just a little worried that we're above VWAP. We did a pretty good hold right into there. So yeah, man, like I said, you know, we're sort of doing what we're doing now, getting ready to hit the gym and just have that trader life where, you know, you make your money and then you get out of here. You see Sharif's at the gym now, and we're going to be doing something like that a little later on. So I'm going to wait for the perfect setup, but I think that not the perfect one. We could lose our next trade. I don't know, but I don't really like the short in this name. The market's up today, down, and this is up. So AMD up now 1% and trying to kick. So I would say stay a little bit away from that. We did cover our shorts. So as Bart Simpson says, eat my shorts, and they're doing that right now for anybody that is short down there near some of those lows. Yeah, I mean, Look, we talked about CoreWeave earlier, and I like the fact that it was holding the 200 period on the daily. It was trying to break through the 50. Had some news this morning about some sort of inference chip, or I don't know what it was. We put that up on the board there earlier. Maybe Derek and CoreWeave had something this morning that got it going, and now it's all the way falling back in. There was something about AI. Yeah, Agentic, that's what it was, yeah. So
yeah, autonomous AI agent learning. It's a new platform. It's funny because this initially came out at 8, and the stock didn't really react until quite a bit later. But yeah, that's the news here in CoreWeave. Autonomous AI agent learning.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, again,
It's a mouthful.
I have no idea what that means, so I'm not going to necessarily. I mean, I
It held 100.
Yeah, like I understand what it means, but I don't know what it means for CoreWeave. So yeah, down there for 100 would be a play for me there. I'm just look. I have a scanner up, and it's just like anything that hits on here is kind of wow. All right, there's a little bit of a move higher.
Whoa, well, something just happened.
Something's going on. So the market.
USO just tanked $4 here. What's going on?
The war's over. We're going to find it out right now. I don't hear anything in my ear, but there goes the futures. This is why we don't short. You know, this is why we don't short when we don't like it. Obviously, we can't predict this, but there it goes, upside right now. Weakness in U.S. dollar, strength right now in the market, and you can clearly see what's been happening right there. Here's the U.S. dollar. We'll see what's happening. Adara, I'm just killing time. Adara's finding the story for us right here. Here's the 1-minute chart on the U.S. dollar downside. S&P futures popping. U.S. and Iran reach a deal, according to Axios, and they're looking for the signature from El Presidente. So deal has been reached, according to Axios research, waiting for the report from Donald and that signature. So there goes the market. There goes the TQQs. Yeah. Giddy up, man, as we watch this market start to ride. We're going to go to Adara. Stat.
Yeah, if I get more details on this, I'll let you know. But market pushing to the upside, as Sean mentioned here, there is a deal reportedly reached here by the U.S. and Iran. They do need Trump's final approval for the deal. This is being reported by Axios. I haven't seen the reporter yet, but I would guess Barak Ravid, who has been involved in reporting this conflict. And there have been some complaints by certain aspects here of Middle East leadership saying that this Axios reporter, who I would widely assume has reported this because he's been reporting all these updates, some complaints that he's maybe not the most accurate here in terms of some of this reporting. But either way here, guys, Axios reporting that the U.S. and Iran have reached a deal. I'm just providing some color context to, you know, give you guys the full picture. If I do get more details, including who reported this, I will let you know. But either way here, U.S. and Iran reaching a deal. Trump's approval awaited. This is from Axios.
I'll tell you right now, I wasn't waiting for my stop to hit. Like, I have USO up, so I just punched out the second I saw the spike to the upside. I didn't even let this get to break even. I didn't let it hit the stop. I saw USO going ham. I'm like, well, let's just speculate what this might be and just punch the heck out of it. You don't want to be sitting short in IBIT while that's going on. And then Intel, well, what are you going to do? Like, Intel spiked up into resistance anyways, so I was able to take that one. But see what's not happening in Intel? So we're able to get it about a buck move. You're under VWAP. The market just retook 30,000 and broke highs. Yeah, Intel's still relatively weak, so you can take what you can get and try not to be too upset there. But I don't know, with lack of confirmation, Adara, I feel like we've seen these reverted almost every time.
Yeah, I have some more context here. So apparently the president told mediators that he wants a couple of days to think about it. So we might not even get any resolution on this in terms of even if he's agreed to it, let alone signed it by the end of this week. Here are some of the key terms, because I think that does matter. Strait of Hormuz will be declared unrestricted, so no tolls and no harassment. Iran needs, apparently within 30 days, they have to remove all of the mines from the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. naval blockade will be lifted in proportion to the restoration of commercial shipping. That term I've seen in a lot of these reported MOUs. Iran will commit to not pursuing a nuclear weapon, which Iran seems unlikely to agree to. First negotiation items will include the disposal of HEU and enrichment limits, and the U.S. will commit to discussing sanctions relief and the release of frozen Iranian funds. So if you don't mind, I want to unpack this because I've seen a lot of these headlines. So for one, unlike that memorandum of understanding that was reported by Iranian state news yesterday and later declared fake news, this actually does mention terms that we know the U.S. government and Iran are both discussing. For example, Iran's commitment to not pursue a nuclear weapon. That's something the U.S. really wants, whereas we know Iran really wants this commitment of the U.S. to consider sanctions relief. However, we know that Iran doesn't want to drop the nuclear weapon and uranium, and we know that the U.S. doesn't really want to give Iran sanctions relief. So yes, these terms are included, but the chances of it getting approved still seems a little bit up in the air. That's my quick analysis here of this memorandum of understanding as someone who's read many of these over the last couple of weeks. Back to you.
Make a little quicker analysis because we shorted the market and again took advantage of that move. Shorted right here at 50. So we're, we covered. We still got a piece. I'm trying to get a little bit more if we can in around this area if it does come back up. But I'm going to put another bid at 35 here. See if we can get a little bit of that as well on the downside. They're going to have to remove the mines within 30 days. There's a bunch of different sort of rules that they're going to have to go through there, and I think it's probably reasonable. So let's wait to see if Trump signs off on that one and if that deal is confirmed. And obviously, if it is, we'll get some more action on these names. So there it is. Did we just get that? No, we didn't. We're still bidding 30. I got to reset my earpiece. We are bidding still 35. So if that comes back in, we will take a fill there. And our best fill, though, was on that chaos. We got a 14 fill on that move. So, another good trade there. As we told you, man, I'm trading the futures over here right now, and it's been definitely a good ride there today for that. So yeah, so far so good, and let's see how low we can maybe go now, and maybe a fade back. I mean, I think it's great news that this all gets settled out, but we've seen this happen before, and trading is all about patterns and all about, recognizing that and, doing what you do best, and we just went right back there into those futures. And you know what? Now that this is moving, I'm actually just gonna wait for 82.70s right up there, and then just give this like 15 cents. So if it breaks to the high, so we just got a couple more covers down there. Now it looks like it's going. So probably more teeth to this. This seems different than all the rest. I mean, that was a big spike up there, and it seems like it wants
volume. Anecdotally, the volume looks a lot bigger off that bounce than USO for now. So I'm going to treat this one as maybe it's different from the rest. I was looking for something that hasn't broke trend, and it's Marvell. Marvell is holding the downtrend, and it's lining up with VWAP. So there's a little confluence to this at about $202. So VWAP's in here. The downtrend from the pre-market highs is intact. If the market continues to go higher, kind of looking for this one to break out next. I mean, obviously, hindsight being 2020, like at the moment punching out VWAP and IBIT, it could have just blindly gone long without knowing what the headline was. But I didn't know what the headline was, and by the time you knew what the headline was, it was already up here. That's why you have stop orders, or if you happen to be, like, don't even let the stop hit. Like, you see something has changed. You could actually get liquidity at the volume weighted average price because it held there for a split second. Not everything did. So Marvell is what I got the eyes on now because I think we're in a bit of a different sea change. And this can play both ways. If it doesn't break out this volume weighted average price and we hold these highs in the NASDAQ, this can also be a flat bottom break or look for a short over there. And I don't mind going back into IBIT for a fade. I just need to had to reach a key level. Pre-market highs or 42.2 on IBIT. And one of these two things, it's here, and the other one, I'd be a little bit skeptical if we hit that level on IBIT. I don't think we're seeing 75K today, but I'll take a shot at this pre-market high. And if we happen to see 75,000, I'd take a shot up there too on IBIT. But I'm betting we don't see 75K today.
Here's BBAI. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Another 5% there as we continue to climb higher on Big Bear. We're long at 420 in the PA, and I've been talking about that probably for a year now, and it's finally starting to go. So let's wait to see if Big Bear AI can get going. Its grandfather, Palantir, looking to go as well. That's up 4%. Yeah, because I called Big Bear AI baby Palantir. So
wouldn't it be the?
Yeah, so Palantir's the grandfather, yeah. So there it is, man. This is already matured up. Now we'll have to wait to see if Big Bear AI, and again, I don't think Big Bear AI has a $200 handle in it. That would be ridiculous. But when we're buying Palantir at 7 and 9 and 10 and so on and so forth, we also didn't think that had a $200 handle on it. So, they've already enjoyed the AI race. Money. Okay, there it comes in there, man. We get that fill at 20 there for the TQs as that one starting to work out for us as we take that short. And again, we talked about, where our stops were. So if we're just going to continue to do this, I only have 30% left. Hopefully it makes new moves down. I'm bidding 82 and we'll get that. And someone said they really appreciate the futures trading, so I want to say thank you to you as well. I have IBIT written down here. And again, the futures trade to me was, it's always easy when your plan works, and we go over this. Yesterday we had some great trades that were given on the sticky note as well. But today we talked about the TQs right there at 81.50 to 82. So our first short was 82. Our second short is 81.50. So we went 2 for 2 on that, even though we're talking about area. Even despite getting this news, we're doing okay there. But the break was through $82, and we got out at 82. We shorted at 82.50 right now. The only reason I call this up is that IBIT was on here as well as the number one, and that got up to 41.60. We should have sat there and shorted a little bit of that on that move. But again, like if this is going to be something that's real, then we have to be patient, and maybe IBIT. Yes, sir. Okay. There goes, man. Yes, we just talked about waiting for 82. We get that one, and there it comes, man. Let's see how far this one wants to drop down. This is your US dollar right now, starting to go back up a little bit to the upside, creating that movement on the TQs. So, yeah, so far, so good here trading today. It's another one of a day that ends in Y. We're having fun here on Trader TV Live, and thank everybody for staying tuned with us. Adara's got her segment right now. It's a little late. It's 10:23. Bye-bye. We need another 55 cents here on the NASDAQ as we get lower. We're going to cover a little bit of this into the 25 period moving average, but hey, man, Brittany, sorry, but we did it again. Let's go back over to Adara.
We'll kick off here, guys, with RKTO. Rocket won. This guy here with a float of 18.5 million shares, market cap here about $37.9 million. Obviously, name potentially space related, so keep an eye there on Rocket One. GNS here, AI Treasury strategy was announced yesterday morning, so it was actually on our watch list this morning. $52 million market cap. It is a penny stock here with a float of 146 million shares. Last but not least, SPRC mentioned on the show this morning, Ceasefire, a name that has absolutely rallied in the past, like going back a couple years even, so this is a repeat offender. Market cap on Ceasefire is just under $8 million, float of 570,000 shares, so very small float for Ceasefire. Back to you.
Thanks, Adara. Well, looks like we just got back into IBIT. Look, you got that topping tail candle. You know how we like to roll. Resistance, topping tail, jump in, or VWAP, but I'm also going to cover in front of VWAP. We still have had a pretty significant news story, and I want to make sure we're respecting the fact that USO, while bouncing, the initial bounce held underneath VWAP, and we're still trending lower. So that can bode well for anything that was risk back on. I want to try to respect the trend on USO. And if it holds a downward trend, then you got to make sure you're banking out. Like, I'm no longer thinking this is automatically low a day here on IBIT. Some things have changed. I will tighten my stuff. When I get into it here, usually going to give it to the topping tail candle. Now that you've hit VWAP, I'm already moving it to break even. So this will not turn into a loser, and I will not be adding to it unless we see something change in USO. Like, I want to see that trend shift after we just got that headline. Maybe it's not different. Maybe this is the same as the usual. But I want to respect the fact that you're putting in a decent higher low, and USO for now is holding VWAP. You break this VWAP and go higher on USO, and I think the shorts would be fine for an all-day hold. Intel might be a little bit of nothing. That it's holding 117, but I don't know if I want to look long in the stock again, unless we get maybe above VWAP or a distinct set of higher lows. Like, give me a couple of higher lows to work off of. It's clearly relatively weak compared to the market. You're all the way down there. I saw so many chip names go all the way, or at least significantly better. Like Micron went all the way to the top and is now making a higher low. Sean showed you AMD, I believe. I'm pretty sure we showed this chart. AMD back above 500 and is holding near the highs. Intel's not doing that. It's not the one. It's definitely not the one. So you take what you can get on the long, because we happen to be sitting in it when that headline hit. It is what it is. And that's about as high as it ever got. So Intel, probably a bit of a dog. Gonna stay away from that one for now.
All right, I got to sign up for some Gracie Abrams tickets over here at some point there. Yeah, no, got to get the artist pre-sale. It's not for sale yet. Gracie Abrams missed it last time. Did not miss Olivia Rodrigo, so the daughter will be very, very happy with that one. Okay, so I don't know what to tell you guys. We have 10% again left. I came right back in. Just before we threw to Adara, we were like, it's at the 25 period moving average, very similarly to what we did over here. There's the cover, 10% left. We'll hold it and see if it wants to go upside or not. But there goes it. Back there again. Marvell lost a bit, and we said that we wouldn't really want to be in this name. I said we prefer the short, if anything, as it's against VWAP, it's against everything right now, and that's starting to make a little bit of a move lower right now on Marvell. So we got to be very, very careful for that one. Yeah, you guys are right with that. I mean, that's what we're here for, is try to make a little bit of that. What's up, Joe? Mr. Worldwide and I are definitely converging on the Katina Wilson Capital right there, making some calls. So shout out to Joe. Joe, what trade do you have on there today? Oh, Meta. He's got Meta on right now. He's trading 2690. Okay, so he's got, okay, FBL. I mean, I only wrote down Meta 635 area, and that would have got squashed. That went down to 629. So there's your 635 area actually holding. But this guy's on FBL 20, what, 690? Attaboy right there, Joe. There we go, man. No problem congratulating Joe on that trade because he deserves it there. Good job, Joe. Yeah. Likewise, my guy, likewise. But here we go, man, as we lock and loaded here today. There it is. Good long, Joe. We like that one on the break there. Buy those.
Great trend break, man.
Yeah, Joe, great trend break, man. There as we go. So Neil showing some love back there to Joe. We love that, man. All of us showing love all the time. Here we go. Here's Gracie Abrams. What's up, Gracie? Let me see if I can get this pre-sale. Look, Toronto. Ooh, 2 shows, making it much more likely that we can get some tickets to that one. Feb 18, okay, that's far away. We'll get some Gracie Abrams coming through there. But yeah, good trade on that one. Joe, we like that one a lot. There it is, though. We're watching the TQs, and that's about it for me. Apple goes all-time high again, up to 213. All-time high is 313 on Apple. It was 313.26 right there. So good little level there for Apple. 312.80, 313 and change there for Apple. So watch out for this one. New all-time high potentially incoming.
Well, I'd say so. It's just with Apple, it's an all-time high, always incoming. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get there. I was super surprised with the chat when we were asking you guys which one of the Mag 7 names would you feel the best about. I believe it was a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, and Apple did not get any. It literally got no love. Apple and Meta tied at like 3% or something. And I'm like, really? We don't like this? Look at how gentle the upward trend is. It's such a boringly amazing stock. I will not hesitate to be in love with a boring stock that just continues to go up. Will you feel safe buying the dip? Like you can lose the 200-period moving average and I'm not freaking out about it and I'm not exiting the position. You're just holding on, or maybe you're looking to add. So we got some numbers coming at 10:30. One of them is going to be that nat gas futures. We saw what happened in the last couple of weeks. Adara.
Yeah, it's actually the only number here is the nat gas futures, 93 billion. Here's the forecast, 101 billion is the previous, coming in at 92 bill. So just below 93 billion forecast. It's also below that print of 101 billion. Again, 92. Here is USO, not too much of a move here on that number. Again, that was the nat gas stock change. Back to you.
So Boyle does reverse splits every now and then, so our chart's going to kind of suck because it's not going to reflect the split on USO, or on Boyle here, but it's moving upside. The difference between this week and other weeks is it was downward trending and then broke out the other ones. This one's upward trending, and you do still have the headlines coming through. Yeah, the trade was never a breakout trade. It was supposed to be, can it downward trend and give you a bid to work off of? But it is still moving higher, so it seems like every single time we've had the numbers, it's gone higher. All right, I got to watch out for IBIT's starting to regain VWAP in here. So it looked like we were breaking down. I want the low of the day here, but I'm not married to the idea that it has to get there. Nice consolidation under VWAP. We'll see if it takes another leg lower for us on IBIT. Marvell was trying to break that trend. It's still holding the trend line down, unfortunately. But this one, maybe it takes a while. Maybe it's 11 o'clock and Marvell breaks 200 and breaks the volume weighted average price, and then we go long. We can wait this one out. The longer the consolidation, the better the break. The longer the trend, the better the break. And Marvell had a great print. Profit takers are going to come in because it's up a bajillion% over the last few weeks and months. So we let the profit takers do their thing. And if the market continues higher, eventually Marvell buyers are going to realize, hey, maybe this is the only dip we're getting. You don't want to be, if the only dip was in the aftermarket or in the pre-market or right now at like 195, we already saw what happened with SanDisk. We saw what happened with, I want to say Micron, but I guess Micron dipped for like a week or so. Maybe this is it for Marvell.
Yeah, SanDisk dipped.
Yeah, Marvell, sorry,
after hours.
Micron did dip for a few days after its earning.
Right there, but yeah, 196 is fine. Down 1%. Come on. We'll hang out there for a minute and wait for Marvell to come back through. Big Bear AI pulling back a little bit. It always has these moves, so I would say you don't want to go long until we at least break that high again. This could easily fade back out. No news, just catching a bid there today, Big Bear AI. So Scott, you asked me if I'm going to reload this. Yeah, I am reloading it at 70. And I was only going to give this one my stop. Right now is breaking through, so 85. So we're going to give it about 15 to 20 cents if we get that reload. And I'm being very specific. I'm literally waiting there at 70. So if it does come up, then we're going to get that fill. We're actually at 69, so close enough to 70. And if that comes up, we'll get it. I'm a little bit hesitant there, so we're just going to reload it with 1 unit. We did take 5 units. The first trade was 2 units because we didn't get our full amount. And then this one right into there was 5, in which we covered almost all of it, which is when we have a bigger position, that's what we do. We try to cover immediately to put that profit in our pocket. And if we get a big winner, we get a big winner on whatever's left, because whatever's left is still decent. But you got to be careful with all of your trading. I don't really see a whole heck of a lot. We can go over the watch list right now and just see what's going on here in the broader markets. It's 10:30 now, so let's just do a little quick sector recap of what's been popping there. We really like this one because Eli Lilly is in the account big time, and that's another 5.5% there today. Something about their drug getting accepted at CVS, I think it was. So that's a big story there for Eli Lilly. Another 5.5%. Yes, thank you, Adara, for confirming that. AbbVie, a name that I've been buying ever since they bought the Botox maker maybe 20 years ago. That was one of the first sort of tech IBB names, biotech names that I bought. AbbVie, we really like that one. There's BSX downside, so trying to figure out what's going on there. Danaher also there as well. This side is a side that I'm not involved in too much, but would like to get involved. GV down 3, Caterpillar down 2. Some of these other names trying to get lower here today in the space. But that's been... Oh yeah, CG I have as a utility.
They're just in utility.
Yeah, they don't move the same as the rest of them, but CG I think is down today. That's industrial services. Anyways, the financials, we'll go over CG in a minute. I like that Mitch likes it, but we've been looking at that for a minute. I know that's one of Brendan's picks, not doing well on the year. So that one could start coming back again. But there's Visa downside, JP Morgan. We talked about the bells of the ball with Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, wherever that is. Their Goldman's down today. So there's Morgan right above it. So both of these names continue to be great trades, that is for sure. But that's what's sort of going on. There's not a whole bunch of action in the overall market. You're only up 0.2, but here come the TQs, and man, oh man, we might as well cover some of this at 20 if we can. Nice, there it is, nice little pullback in. So Scott H, man, you have horse sense on that one, because you asked me, am I reloading it at the top there? I just told you I was waiting. I missed it by 7 cents, but we'll take advantage of this as it pushes back down in. And if I wasn't talking so much, which I do too much, I would have got out right there anyways, and I missed that. So we actually, bank error in my favor. I want to take it out at the 25 period. So that would have only been 20 cents, right? But we're risking 20 cents to the high side. So good out there at 20 as we get less and less. Now under 10% left on this trade for the TQQs. And it's the only thing I've been in today, and we're at 2x. So far so good here. Let's see what winds up happening as we move forward, and then we can talk about some different names, put them in the chat, and we for sure will get over it. SNDK 1700, no.
I was going to say the super chat right here for SNDK is a name that we haven't talked about today. We already showed you that Micron was having an outsized, relative to some of the other chip names, it was having an outsized move up, but SNDK even bigger. Hey, where's the super chat? There we go. Oops, I guess we just hit it at the same time. What's up with it? The dip was not much. It was 1 day. It was a week last time. You had all week long to buy the dip. This time you had 1 day, and then you go back into the highs. This is the thing. The market on some of these memory names, they're saying the entire space is a complete reset from how they've traded. The cyclicality is gone, and everybody's getting repriced, and sometimes the dip buyers are just like, we need to get into this sucker, and then it goes parabolic. So it's semi-squeeze, there's gamma squeeze going on too. I'm sure Joe could talk to you about that, but it is definitely super strong relative to the market. I didn't realize it was doing better than Micron. I actually thought Micron was one of the better names to the upside here. But 17 hundo would be an all-time high break here on which is insane. This was just at $1,000.
Yeah. Like Joe and I were screwing around.
5 minutes after earnings.
We had, me and Joe, when you weren't here, I wrote down SanDisk 1,030. Joe had Google 350, which is now, I believe, 380, I think. Where's Google right now? Is it higher than that? 390? Yeah, 390, so that's a good one there. And Amazon 262. So even when we were just kind of screwing around there, this one's not moving, but still a good call. Most of these names just continue to skyrocket. Like, I can't believe I picked SanDisk there. It's 70% up. Like, that's in a month. Like, these names are just, I'm not in it in my own account, but I'm just talking about how wild it was when we were here that day, and I was just like, oh, I'll just pick SanDisk. Like, it can't go down, can it? And there it goes right there. So shout out to Sia, who's here in front of the screen. Let's go figure out what she's talking about here today. It's Sia at the big screen.
Today's hot stock, Snowflake. Let's take a look. So Snowflake at the time was the biggest software, the largest software IPO launch during the time of September 2020 when it did launch. The stock raised a record-breaking $3.4 billion during its IPO. And due to the accelerating demand, you'll be shocked to know that the original price per share was set between the range of $75 to $85. However, due to the accelerating surge in demand, the final offering for the price, the opening, was $120. My mistake. Opening was more than $120, where the market exploded and the stock opened at $245 per share. The stock also surged 111% on its first day, and the closing price was somewhere around $254. Crazy, crazy numbers here. The stock also reached its all-time highs on 16 November 2021 when it was trading around the $400 mark. Now let's take a look at a little bit of history of the company. Now, we do know yesterday they announced their first quarter results. They reported a massive $1.39 billion revenue, which marked a 33% year-over-year jump. Their net revenue retention also increased to 126, which means that their existing clientele is expanding their data usage. Now, we also know that AWS, the cloud infrastructure, they also gave $6 billion to Amazon's cloud division, which was, again, an insane thing. CEO of the company, Sridhar Ramaswamy, who is from Google, ex-Google employee, 15 years at Google as a software engineer. Then he advanced to SVP of Ads and Commerce. And today, he is the CEO of the company. Now, Snowflake Dev Day will also be taking place on the 25th of June, where users can sign up for a free virtual event, skill up with AI, earn certain badges, and interact with other users. And that's it for Snow. Sending it back to you.
Great analysis, so love that segment. Sia, welcome back. Sia's been back this week and just makes the show so much better. I love the new blood that we have on the team. And it doesn't hurt that she has fantastic taste when it comes to Star Wars content. So we're loving that. And I said there was one thing I was looking for to add to the short and IBIT. Maybe USO isn't going to hold VWAP, but it did. It broke VWAP. It closed above the volume-weighted average price. Yes, it's reversing now, but I still did the reload when that happened. And then I'll just tighten the stop up. Obviously, up here, you're giving it to the top. But if IBIT's going to break VWAP, it'll be about break even because we still have some shares from up top. So we'll give it a break even stop, look for that low of the day. But you are seeing USO start to come back. So that false breakout could easily have the market, again, right, USO goes down, market, other things go up. You got to think about it inverse, and we're getting a bit of a trend break here on USO. So if we break out VWAP, we'll get out of this trade, hunt for the next, as we take you to Adara at the desk.
More oil news here, guys. Nothing supermassive, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying the U.S. will not be tolerating a tolling system in Hormuz or Oman, which is reportedly one of the parties interested in this system, should know that the Treasury will target actors involved, further going to say that any willing partners in the Strait of Hormuz tolling scheme that is reportedly happening will be penalized. So Treasury Sec Bessent making some comments. While we're here, I'll do a super quick sector watch. I mean, you've got a lot of weakness here today: producer manufacturing, transportation, industrial services, finance, electronic tech with some red marks here. Intel down about 3%, but AMD and SanDisk both green today, along with Qualcomm up 3% as well. Tech services here, you've got Oracle, Palantir, Microsoft, AppLovin, IBM, and ServiceNow all to the upside. So bit of a SaaS recovery. Health tech here, Eli Lilly up a notable 6%, and nearing that $1,150 mark. Back to you.
1150 we'll play.
Yeah, we love that. We love some Eli Lilly, man. That's been
forget Novo.
Definitely.
Don't look at that thing.
A good one there. Eli Lilly, we talked about the #1 name in the portfolio. That ain't a tech stock. Is Eli Lilly. So back up to today's all-time high would be really nice. I am way too loaded up in tech stocks, and with ARM has been a really great tech stock. We recently bought this one at 201, right down there. Missed IREN, same day though we got ARM, so we're looking for ARM and IREN, and we only get one, and we're happy to do that. Got some out there at 300 now, or 297, something like 298, and there's the rip up now through 330. Up another 10%. So it was just $300 yesterday. Today, 330. There goes ARM. And I think it's all overdone, to the upside, but whatever. You got to play momentum. You can't really worry about where stocks have come from. You just worry about where they're going. And I just think the chip game for ARM remains very strong. So we'll, just like Intel starting to go upside on that kind of story as well. But there goes ARM. And, Apple's going to sell a shoot ton of phones, and ARM's going to have a part in this PC wave as well, as we know. So, that's why we wanted to get into it. And the reason why I trimmed it is just like, you're going to go up 50% in like a week. We're going to take profit on you, ARM. So that's been something. We only got it at 20%, but maybe another 20% coming out now, because I think there's a big move here. And I do think SpaceX signals the top for a lot of the market for right now. And then we maybe have an opportunity to get back in and around, maybe 2/3 of the way through June, something like that, June 20th or so. But we're not convinced about that. We're just going to wait to see what winds up happening. I'm not selling anything in the long term, but we did sell some Marvell yesterday, and we got the question about Dell earlier today as well, heading into earnings. As if we wrote this level down, 313 for Dell. Okay, but we did talk about potentially taking some profit in a name like Dell. You saw Marvell downside a bit. It's only down 10% from its highs, but if Dell does go down 10% on earnings, which it could, right? I mean, Marvell gave you a good report and still got kicked to the curb a little bit. We'll wait to see what winds up happening with Dell. I think there's a profit opportunity to take something out around 320 or right now. I don't think you would be upset with that. We never talk about Sharif's pick, Broadcom. That's been a great trade as well. And when I think about Marvell, I do think about Broadcom a little bit. And this one, you want to see something that's doing absolutely nothing. Broadcom, a story to be told still, with earnings to come. I'm going to find out when.
Now that's a bull flag.
Yeah, so we have Wednesday, June 3rd there coming for Broadcom. So we're going to wait to see what winds up happening there on their report. But this is another one that's a sleeping giant, their AVGO Broadcom. Right now. So we're going to get back into one more thing here. If this does, again, we're at 82.69. So we're about to get, maybe we're about to get it. I don't know. There it is right now. Oops, where did my chart go? We're going to get, there it is. We're getting that short. We're out 15 cents from here. So watch out for this trade. We'll take that 1 unit back again. If it loses, it loses. We've only traded the futures. I've only traded the futures here today. I'm going to go find that one missing chart. Although I think it closed permanently. We'll get it back.
Yeah. So TXJ fan, I moved my IREN chart to Marvell when I saw that trend. But for now, as the market's trying to take out the highs, I still think the reason is that USO did the turn. That's the big event that kind of comes out of nowhere. It's like this whole, hey, let's get excited the war's ending. We still have to see if something gets pen to paper and actually ends up mattering. But for now, you're resuming back into the downside. And as long as we're underneath that VWAP, I would feel a little bit less good about trying to get anything to the short side. It's fine holding. At this point, like I canceled my VWAP entry here as long as we're holding down there. Not really a fan of it. If we start breaking out breaking out above the volume weighted average price, I'll like the short a little bit better. So for now, I'm not looking to reload on IBIT. I like the fact the market goes back to the highs and Bitcoin still stinks. Like that's a good thing that it's closer to the lows when the market's at the top. But if we don't reverse on USO, like I can't really see any way that craters back into the lows and IBIT doesn't pick up the bid. Marvell still trending down off this trend line. No breakout yet, but I think there's a chance here. The more the market is able to hold on, I think we have a decent chance to be able to break this trend to the upside. Down 1.5%, I mean, that's actually nothing on Marvell. Like the only people winning is, what were we expecting? Was it 12?
On Marvell?
The expected move?
Yeah, or was it 14, I think maybe it was?
Oh, so, okay, so it was even higher than, either way, it doesn't matter. Either way, it doesn't matter. If you're writing options, you won. This is kind of a nothing move for Marvell at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. All right, talk about a nothing move right now. This ain't nothing. So there it goes, Scott. We talk about what we're doing over here. We've definitely found our way, and there it is right there, man. We're going to go 3 for 3 here today, all trading the futures, and this one was 15 cents worth of risk. Right now in the money, 30. So this is about as clean as it goes when you're talking about, again, whatever you're using, percentages of wins versus losers, risk R&R, just throwing, S to the wind and letting it stick. That's what we're doing, and there it is, man. Support and resistance. There it goes to the downside. There's our 25-period moving average. That's a cover for me. Let's get out a little bit more here if we can. There we go. We get a 46 area there as we go 2-to-1 on that. We have half of this trade left, but it's starting to get back up to the upside. Let me get another piece here at 51s. We'll take some more out there as it goes to the downside and just sort of trying to stack that paper, on a day like today. I don't know. I mean, I still feel like it's strong. This market now holding upside. And, there are some names that have been beat up that I think can get going again. So we'll have to wait to see if this move does continue to the downside. I'm gonna take another piece of profit here at 1-to-1 at 51 and just get just a little bit lighter on that trade. So there it is. And we'll wait to see what winds up happening here with the TQQs. And we didn't really have a trade other than what we had right there at 50. And we had less than, I think it was 8% or so left. It came back up. We always wanted to get reloaded at that level, so that is exactly what we do. And there's another move down into 50s as we get a little bit lower now on those levels. And we are now 1 minute away for lunch, so that makes sense to do it right now. Let's go, what is for lunch? We're gonna go figure that out. Yesterday was pretty good. Chicken a little dry, but I don't really expect much when it's mass produced like that, and then it's gotta sit in the truck and everything like that. I'm not here tomorrow, so it should be exciting to see what that is. Today we have the Portuguese flag, so I would say that that's either going to be fish or chicken. I don't know if Portuguese people eat tilapia. I sure as hell hope not. Today's is, Macanese style Portuguese chicken. All right, so we'll just go with piri there. Portuguese chicken, herb rice, roasted seasoned veg, and a salad. So yeah, Portuguese chicken. I mean,
that's pretty standard.
Yeah, we pretty nailed that one there. Pretty standard as well as we continue to watch out for the futures trade going a little lower. We just get a couple more fills there at 40, and we'll go over to Adara for money talks after chicken for lunch, as the same as yesterday.
I'm also getting some more context here in this US-Iran deal that I want to mention before we get into money talks here. Apparently at the top levels, this has already been blocked by Iranian senior leadership. So this deal was apparently negotiated by the U.S. team led by envoy Steve Witkoff, and then also Iran team led by Aragachi. Apparently, though, again, even though these negotiators came to an agreement, Iran senior leadership doesn't agree. We already know that President Trump has yet to say whether he agrees or not, and he's going to be giving himself a couple days to make that decision. So this situation could already be kind of in doubt. I do want to talk about the U.S. dollar as we get comments from Fed's Muslim, who has said there could be the chance of raising rates should inflation issues continue over the next few quarters. But again, all of these Feds here, no one's saying right away that rates need to be raised, just warning of that possibility. U.S. dollar, though, continuing to reject that 99.5 area that we rejected for much of last week, getting rejected once again today. Currently red here for the DXY on the daily. Let's talk about economic data. Here is this look at all of the major prints that came out at 8:30 a.m. today. You can find this, as always, on XTTV Research. But as you can see here, both month-over-month, core and non-core, you get slightly cooler than expected PCE. Core PCE and non-core PCE on a year-over-year basis in line with estimates. Both of those prints, though, hotter than expected. So we get hotter PCE here in April for year-over-year, and I guess cooler here across the board for the month-over-month. GDP is going to be really of note here, 1.6% below the estimate in the prior print of 2%. And we also have Scott Bessent, who is Treasury Secretary, holding the press briefing today. So it's going to be really interesting here to see if this comes up, because I suspect he could be asked about this GDP print or bring it up himself during that 2 p.m. White House press briefing. Personal income, 0% here month-over-month, below the estimate in the prior print to 5%, but personal spending coming in line with estimates of 5%. Durable goods orders here higher than expected by a significant degree, nearly 8% versus estimates of nearly 4%. In terms of when we're expecting any rate moves here, looks like now March is where we're going to be seeing the first rate hike. Now, earlier this week or last week, we were seeing even potentially hikes in January 27 or even December of this year. So hike chances still happening, but they're being pushed back a little bit to later in the year, again, according to the CME FedWatch tool. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara, but also thank you to Dr. Sandmiss. Appreciate the super chat. We actually have a couple of super chats that we're going to get to. But although a day trading show, you gained a lot of insight, long-term holding. You all recommended Alphabet last year, Google, and I am grateful for it. I wish sometime after trading hours, we can have more long-term hold discussion, a small win appreciation. Hope this covers your lunch today. We appreciate you. Thank you, Dr. Santis. And I'll say, if you ever see what Alphabet did again on a large cap tech stock last year, and I'll get this out of the way just so that we can show the chart here. This is the April low. From the April low, look at the channel up. Look at how long it held this upward trend channel, and then look what happened when it broke the top. Right in September, it broke the high. It broke away from that channel up. Trend breaks something doesn't have to be trending down to break out. It can be in an upward trend and still break out higher. That's even better. AMD did this. Well, maybe it wasn't recently, but the while back AMD did this. Maybe it was years ago. It doesn't really matter. But Google did it last year, and then from that breakout, you almost doubled it up. And that's on Alphabet, baby. This is a name that pretty much everyone knows and loves, and at least I hope no. Well, if you don't know Alphabet, then you're probably not watching this show. And if you don't love them, then you don't like good companies, right?
Yeah, and we, by the way, we talk about, get it for sure. Shout out to Dr. Sandmiss. We also do a competition. We talk about long term. This is only 6 months, but we did do a competition. Now, 2 years in a row now, we've done this. We all make picks back on January the 12th, and these are the portfolio returns, and maybe not as good as what Google's been doing right there, but this is what all of our picks are so far this year. We'll have to wait to see if they mature up. It's so funny because some of these plays seem to be a little easier when you look back, right? We see Ramin there kicking it with the rocket names as well. And then Fabian had a great idea. Show the average return on the portfolio, and it's now 6%. So it's not great, but we will continue to add value to the show however we can with Marvell. My picks are Marvell, Eli Lilly there. I don't know. We got to figure. We'll figure out what to do there at the 6 month. We can either, say you're going to average into these trades or whatever. We'll figure it all out what we're going to do. And I'm not going to figure anything out because I tried to make rules last time, and we all know how that went. We are going to cover a little bit here in and around 82.50s or so. 82.60s. It's going to put a bit out. We got to get out of here in less than 5 minutes. But yeah, thank you so much for that super chat. You're going to have Joe and Sharif on the midday to the gym, of course. And then tomorrow we're not going to be here. So that's what I was saying, man. I try to get skinny on the weekdays and then much fatter on the weekends when I don't do anything on the weekends at all, except for walk around and walk the dog.
If you're coaching.
And eat ridiculous amounts of food.
Neil's
always eating.
Because I'm literally eating right now. No, but actually I'm eating fruit salad, so that's healthy.
Lots of sugar.
You know what, though? The problem with the fruit salad, you notice we're getting just a ton of grapes. It's like 50.
I don't know. I love the watermelon.
There's watermelon, but it's like 50% grapes in a fruit salad.
If it's a good grape, though, I like a nice hard grape.
They're not. There's like 1 in 3 are good.
Grapes is like one of those fruits where it's like, they're so hit or miss.
Oh, I love grapes.
Like at least a banana.
There's another method of delivery that I like even better for grapes, for obvious reasons.
Oh, what? I don't know that one. What are you getting?
Wine, baby.
Oh, wine. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I like mushed grapes, I guess.
You squash
I haven't
them.
had wine in a minute. We're gonna maybe have some wine this weekend.
Oh,
there,
I'm having
but-
wine tonight.
Yeah, wine is
I-
a good
well,
one.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, we're going
some of our high school buddies are meeting up, so
Yeah, we should
we'll
have,
probably have a
we should
glass
have
of
some
wine.
drinks there tonight.
I want to make one point there.
Yeah, go,
we were
go.
talking about it. I got filled back into AVAV, and it didn't matter whether you bought. You could have bought this. It held the 50-period moving average. It held the same price at the close. If you buy this, at the close, congratulations. If you bought it in the pre-market, but it opened pretty much at $200 even, $199.94. So basically $200 even. But the 50-period hold is the key thing there, not necessarily the drone talk at the end of the day. And remember, everything is about your execution plan. So at the end of the day, this stock has already shown you what it can do when it loses structure. At the beginning of the year, it held the 200-period moving average. It went 60% up, and if you didn't make any money on it, that's because you didn't take any profit on it. And then it lost support right on earnings. Right in here, it loses at 240. That's a good first target if you're into it. I'm looking 200-period moving average on this before I want to ring the register on AVAV. I just heard, was it Oracle?
Yep.
Okay, so Oracle apparently popping. I don't know. I just heard it in the ear. Oracle. Why is it gapping high? That's not an actual gap higher. My chart will just catch up. But Oracle on volume making fresh highs. The market's strong, and most of it is because of that turnaround we had in oil. In oil futures to the downside, but now it's coming all the way back up. We're back above the volume-weighted average price. It's actually been trend up since that low when everyone thought we were getting a deal, and maybe we are. I mean, I don't know. Any of these headlines. It's just that usually fading, it's been the right way to go. And it seems like again today, you literally make the low on USO on that headline, and we don't go any further than that. So the market's not really believing it's over.
We can always check in on the US dollar here as well, just to see if we get another look on this. There it is, DXY 99 and change. So it's starting to go back up to the upside there. It maybe does not believe in that deal, but we did fall from 99.20. Nice move down. You don't get dramatic moves like that unless there's something about it. And Axios then reporting, of course, that Donald Trump has now asked for a few days to review this. So as Sharif just said, he needs a few days. And we'll see what winds up happening there to review it. He's probably just got to add one more little thing in there to get the victory that he's looking for. All right, 1029 Bank of Canada. I think they kept rates the same today. I'm not sure what they're doing. Q's is about to come out, man. We just ripped all the way to the high side. We have less than half of this position on, and here it goes. Looks like we will. You know what? I don't think this will be a profitable trade at the end of the day, but just looking at the net, we don't really add anything to it. So basically flat if this does break above that 85 mark. And it's not really, the ES and the NASDAQ are flat right now. So I don't really think that this is worth holding on to or averaging into or doing anything else right now. If there's a good story coming, this market has a lot more to run. And I don't mean flat as in like it's up, but up 0.4, up 0.3. I mean, we've been up and down through these levels many times. The real move is up 2%, down 1.5%, something like that. So still feel like there's something in this market, and if anything, it's going to be a long. So we watch out for that. We watch out for Big Bear AI as that's starting to go higher now. You guys know we're long 420 in that account, so already up now about that 10%, and it's hopefully going to break a little higher there on BBAI, but there's the chart right here. There's the break that we're kind of looking for through 460. So yeah, man, similarly to that AVAV, we're in this one and it's trying to go higher, right? So there it goes. But all right, that's it. It's now, there it goes, by the way. The futures now break higher into that level. So we're just going to have to let this go. If anything, maybe switch over to the long and see how long you can hold it, because this market looks like it's going for a ride right about now.
Marvell's trying to break trend right as we speak, too. That's about to get to the upside.
All right, so Marvell going. We'd like to see that one. Hopefully that continues to go upside as well. We love some Marvell. That's a good one there for us. You need a minute? All right, Joe's needs a minute here. He always gives me a rough time when I don't. The other day when I didn't even, you're throwing to me and my mic fell off, and I heard Joe mention like this guy's got 3 hours to get his mic ready, and we didn't have it there. So his share is going down in Katina Wilson.
Sometimes the magnet slips.
Right there. Hey, don't show Joe on screen yet, man. He's not ready yet.
He's not ready yet. Joe, make sure you got this the black thing over to white.
It's very
right
complicated,
there, Joe.
all this.
You need to make sure
Yeah,
that happens there. But there he is. He's
The
Mr.
shades.
Worldwide. There's Mr. Worldwide. We like that one. All right. You might think that's Pitbull, but it's not. It's Joe. And he's getting ready to go with the professor. So get ready to learn some lessons. It's the midday show. It's the best one we've got.
Small cappers.
And it is Sharif and it is Joe. See you till 2 o'clock.